The College Football Experience 2024 Week 13 preview and picks and draft episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their brand new Pick 8. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash, folks. So check that out. They have college football action. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Brian Bosworth, aka The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the College Football Experience. Week 13 preview, picks, draft. If you haven't listened to the other 14 weeks, because week 0 was a week, we've got everything covered from the preview for this upcoming college football season. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hop on over. Hit that like and subscribe button as we're building this empire. Let's go. I cannot wait for this season. It's only July 3rd, and I'm just already doing 12-team playoff models, all this shit. I got it all going on. It's chaos, and I can't wait. I've never been so excited for a college football season, I feel like.
Boom.
Because before with the 4-team, it would be kind of mundane, I thought. But now you're building up storylines in your head. You're thinking, hey, we got just a million different scenarios. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that this week, being it that we're previewing week 13. There is 14 weeks of the regular season this week, or this season, I should say. So yeah, we're gonna talk all about it. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh boy, the news never stops. A year ago on July 1st, or the 4th of July weekend, or I feel like the past couple years, we've got news on the 4th of July that the entire Big Ten was going to 1,000 teams. Texas and Oklahoma were leaving the Big 12. I mean, just major catastrophic change. Please don't fuck with my freedom weekend. All right. I am joined by my co-host in studio here. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C, the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get that. Let's get it going.
Yeah, boy.
Get it going here. Got my Hayden Fry shirt on. Just to preview the Iowa Hawkeyes. We're in the middle of previewing 134 college football teams, folks. Get on over there. Check them out. SEC, Mountain West, all done. We're into a chunk of the Big Ten already. Check it all out. We are also joined by third man in the boot, the DFS god himself. Of course, we do release DFS episodes for college football once the season comes back around, so get ready for those. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, home brew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lot giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. How's it going, guys? Happy birthday, America.
Go backwards hat. Go Crash Davis style with this. Let's go. And look, what better way to celebrate freedom than to talk about Utah State football?
Where Blake Anderson
we just dropped our preview in the past 4 days.
Redo that.
Well, I don't need to redo it in a way because so Blake Anderson is out and he's actually suing the university right now. So there's that, but I don't really even know the whole details of the case, but
some sort of improper handling of, was it
sexual assault or something?
Yeah, but he was saying that he gave it to the athletic director. Athletic director didn't do anything, so he's like, "Well, I did my job. What am I supposed to go to? What am I supposed to go to Fox 5?"
Let's see if people hold him to the same standard as they did Joe Paterno. Obviously, it's probably not to the same level, but Joe Paterno, yeah. Let's hope it's nowhere in that same range. But I will say this: for as much flack as Joe Paterno got, he did the same thing. Now, you could definitely argue that because, and I think most people would argue that because of the magnitude of the situation, probably should have done a little more. So,
and let's be honest, Joe Paterno ran that ship at Penn State. It wasn't the AD running stuff. I think he had a little bit more weight.
That's true.
Than Anderson did at Utah State.
Well, it's funny. The episode I dropped talking about it, I said Blake Anderson is on the hot seat. I was me and Patty C did this, and I was saying, I think he might be on the hot seat. Well, yeah, he's fired now. So I'm a fucking genius. The seat was so hot, so hot.
They found her. Shoot.
Not to make light of all his issues there, but man, it's been a crazy ride.
It has, man.
With his son and his wife, and now this. I mean, what else could possibly happen?
Yeah, I almost think he might need a few years off of football.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Now on that episode though, I did hype up that they hired Nate Drilling, or Drilling from New Mexico State, who was the defense coordinator for Jerry Kill, who I really was impressed with their defense a year ago, and I thought that he might bring a toughness to the team that they haven't had in the Anderson era. Even when they won the Mountain West Championship, I didn't think they had that toughness.
No, they were more of an offensive finesse team, definitely.
Well, now I think that this could be a blessing in disguise. I know. Well, first, as far as the coaching hire, I don't want to. I don't even know the situation. What's going on there, so I have no idea. But I'm saying blessing in disguise as far as from a football standpoint, you might have a better head coach today than you did yesterday.
Although we feel like
that's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to throw shade at Blake Anderson, but I thought the teams had regressed, and I wondered if Utah State was, because he kind of won with Matt Wells's guys. Year one, he comes in and wins with Matt Wells's guy, or not Matt Wells, Gary Anderson, right? Yeah. And then,
but he also won at Arkansas State, right?
True, but every coach has. Harsin did, Malzahn did. Arkansas State was just they were coach proof there for a little bit. Even Butch Jones had a winning year last year with them.
A winning year is different than winning, at a.
I don't think Blake Anderson's a bad football coach, but I can tell you this: to see New Mexico State playing defense the way they were playing defense last year, I was thoroughly impressed. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. And this is a guy that was with Jerry Kill for a while, so
who's never been a head coach before. To assume that he's a better head coach than Anderson, I think is really going out on a limb.
Yeah, and I'd have to double check Jerry Kill's history, but he doesn't strike me as a dude that has a insane win percentage. Even if Drayling's been with them for a while, I'll double check that. Career wise, he's 71-58 as a head coach, Jerry Kill. So yeah,
but he's incredible.
Has he coached at
Yeah,
Northern Illinois, Minnesota,
Southern
TCU.
Illinois, yeah.
No,
he wasn't even TCU's head coach.
For a couple, 6 games, but or 4 games rather. What I'm saying is the track record of being a coordinator on a guy with a 55 win % for his career versus a head coach who has a freaking, I don't even know. I'd have to go and find, but I know he did pretty well. I would say he's at least. Blake Anderson at Arkansas State. 7-6, 9-4, 8-5, 7-5, 8-5, 8-5, 4-7. Almost always
I'm not trying to say he's a bad coach, but I just thought they might pull the plug on him soon. So now you get a flyer on this guy who has a pretty damn good track record.
Well, if you base it on last year, then yes, like Drayling, they were balling out at a really traditionally poor program. That was one of the most impressive coaching jobs we've seen recently. Whether that Jerry Kill deserves credit or Nate Drayling or both, but yeah.
But also, right. Blake Anderson didn't capitalize on that Mountain West championship back in, was it 2021? I think it was, or 2020. Yeah. You know, so the trajectory of the program was at best stagnant, if not maybe going on the decline.
And I'm one of the ones where I question that they even won that championship, because you remember what happened there. San Diego State, like 30 players had COVID that game. So they, right before the game, the championship game in the Mountain West, San Diego State missed like their whole team. So, I mean, I'm not trying to. Blake Anderson, nice guy, and I wish him the best. But I'm just saying, I don't know how good of a football coach he was.
Yeah, I would say his track record suggests he's a good coach, not a great coach, but also just given the amount of problems even before this, you know, that he had gone through, then it's and the regression, like you guys said, of recently at Utah State. You might be right. Drayling, even without his experience, may be, you know, a better fit right now.
And my only point was this: since 2011, Arkansas State really, you know, 10-3 under Hugh Freeze, 10-3 under Gus Malzahn, 8-5 under Brian Harsin, right? Then they get Blake Anderson, 7-6, 9-4, 8-5, 7-5, 8-5, 8-5, 4-7. Now, you can't say negative things.
Yeah,
but you certainly can't say it was as good as before.
But it's okay. It was better than after that.
Yeah. 2-10, 3-9. What did they do last year again?
6-7.
Yeah, that's true. But Butch Jones, yeah, you're right. I mean,
right,
Butch Jones sucks.
He's better than Butch Jones.
Yeah.
Butch Jones is
a low bar.
How the hell has he got? I don't even understand his career. He just followed Brian Kelly for a bunch of years, and then got a bunch of money, and then Nick Saban hired him because he could probably recruit and drop bags better than most. Football is just a wonderful thing when you think about it. Folks, I want to tell you that this is the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the latest episode of SGP Stories is out. You got to check it out. It's on Patreon. The guys, myself, Stacking the Money Green, Real Money Kramer, do a Forensic Files style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job there. Cost him his job in Fayetteville, but he's back this year. We bring that up. You got to check it out. I may or may not be wearing a neck brace and an Arkansas jacket and a Sugar Bowl hat. So check it out. Plus, make sure to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and Scott have started out their season with Red Hot Locks. So you're going to want to check that. Also, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount, and you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com right now to save you $50. So use the promo code SGP over there. Don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before the football season kicks off. Well, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go. If you do, let us know. You can come kick it with Ryan Real Money Kramer and Sean Stacking the Money Green from the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th over at Circa. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, we're back on the College Football Experience. So, folks, Utah State in this interesting spot now. It's going to be fascinating, I think, week in, week out to watch. Well, first we need to see if the team doesn't transfer out, because there's that ruling of a coaching change where you have 30 days where anyone can transfer. But I know people had asked me since we had already released that, do you still like the over? And I was like, well, we got to see if the whole team stays or not. But
so don't bet it right now. Wait and see.
I would say even without that, you probably want to subtract at least one game from the win total. But
I don't know. I don't know that if I'm on board with that.
Really?
Well, I also wonder if the line has been adjusted by a half game or a game now.
Yeah. It's probably off the board right now until they find out who's on the team.
Might be right.
But something to note. But yeah, I mean that's the news we got right now. Texas had a goddamn big ass party. Did you see that in Austin?
Did not.
July 1st, they joined the SEC. Had a huge party. Pitbull got the headline.
Isn't he from Miami or something?
Yeah, but they just Texas. They had a huge party, man. A bunch of people. Matthew McConaughey.
Well, look, what's his name was from Dallas, Vanilla Ice, but he claimed Miami. So this is payback. They go into Miami, and it's modern recruiting wars. It's
terrible. So they went from Stevie Ray Vaughan to Pitbull.
Hey, look, I'm not
taking an L.
I'm not a big fan of Pitbull the musician. However, I did bartend on him. Hell of a nice guy. Hell of a nice guy is Pitbull. So yeah,
that seems cool.
I bartended on him. He was very nice guy. So I'm not here for that slander. All right.
I like it. Stand up for the dude.
Yeah, he was a hell of a nice guy. Tipped me very good. And
I'm saying there's a lot of good musicians that are from Texas.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say there's a lot of good musicians that tip good. I was like, I don't know that to be factual. I bartended for a little bit. But anyway.
Hey, no one's gonna get you more hype than Pitbull, are they? Well, certainly maybe not any country musician. I don't know. Maybe they would.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, wait, who would have been the home run then, Nick?
All right. I mean, Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
He's like 100 years old.
George Strait.
Are you trying to get a reenactment of Biden in the debate? Willie Nelson's got no idea where he's at right now.
I
love
would be
Willie
lying
Nelson.
if I told you who the youth in Texas is listening to. So
Paul Wall.
I'm not the person.
They should have went Paul Wall.
Should have gotten Paul Wall. Yeah. I think that makes us old right now.
UGK, right? Something like that. I don't know. What did you guys make of this week? But I don't know. Texas had that party. We should talk about that. I mean, this is pretty hilarious how big this party was, man. They like shut down Austin for this SEC thing. They had SEC Network there, Greg Sankey, Paul Feinbaum live from the streets of Austin.
Wow.
They probably paid for it in about 10 seconds with that SEC money.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Might be the last celebration they do while they're in the SEC because the losses may start coming.
Well, what they get? What they have? One Big 12 championship the past decade. I understand.
Hey, but we always say college football should be fun, so why not have a big party? I like it. I got no problem.
College football is fun, but my thing is I'm just waiting for all the like ECU. You should do this. All right, we should celebrate it. We added Army in the AAC. Let's have a block party.
Do you think SMU had a block party for joining?
SMU's been having a block party ever since they joined the yes.
ACC, yeah.
Just you weren't invited.
I mean, in college basketball, they do like the Midnight Madness.
People were, but what's that?
In college basketball, they do like the Midnight Madness. You know, where they had like their first practice, and it's kind of a party. Football should do something like that too. I like it.
I like this. It's just party.
We're just hating on Texas right now.
Well, they only have one Big 12 championship in the past decade, and that came with 7 backup quarterbacks on the schedule. So,
gotta point that out.
I think it's fun to jump in that. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Before we get to this draft, you got what? Let's look at the teams that have entered. Missouri's entered the SEC, has yet to win a championship. They went to the championship game twice, right? A&M entered the SEC, has yet to win a conference championship.
Yeah.
Miami entered the ACC, hasn't even played in the conference championship game.
Yeah. Arkansas entered in '92.
No, they played in one, right?
Miami played in one, right?
Yeah,
they played in one.
Every
still haven't
team
won.
played in one. Yeah,
but they still haven't won. Arkansas played in one. They got to one with Houston Nutt, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, but they still haven't won one.
Yeah.
So Nebraska
over 30 years.
Nebraska in the Big Ten has yet to win one.
Yep.
Right. And let's just take this from a big thing. Then let's look at all the conference expansion. Include USC, Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. Who will be the first
to win? Well, I mean,
a conference.
Win a conference championship?
Might be Oregon.
It might be
year.
Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Big Ten to me is an easier gauntlet.
I think Ohio State's better than Oregon. I think Ohio State will probably win it, but those two will probably be playing in it, so there's at least a decent chance.
I think also the Big Ten has so much dead weight. Like there's like a bunch of average shitty teams in the Big Ten compared to the SEC.
I mean, I hate to say it, but
Texas, you think?
Using national championships as a barometer of
Oklahoma,
the quality of teams. Yeah, SEC has way more recent national champions.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say Oklahoma would be your pick to win the conference first because they have more national championships.
If we're then Oklahoma probably would be, but the conference championship, I think you're right.
Big Ten. What about the teams joining the Big 12 though? Is Utah ahead of Oregon's chances now?
Well, I mean,
Utah's the favorite.
Yeah, they are.
In his mind, I mean, just because they're the favorite. Yeah. Cam Rising's completed the season like once in his life. So I mean,
it's close between Utah and Oregon. It's definitely close.
What about Army? Kennesaw State?
No, neither.
USC? We sleeping on USC? Sleeping on
Might
Oklahoma?
be sleeping on USC a little bit.
But you gotta say Oregon has a better chance right now.
Yeah, Oregon
than
is
USC.
A step ahead of USC or two.
Okay.
What about the ACC schools?
Yeah, I'm about to say, what about SMU, Stanford, and Cal?
I don't see any of them winning it.
Let me ask you this then.
Although Stanford did whip the crap out of Virginia Tech in the Orange Bowl about a decade ago, so just over a decade.
All the Pac-12 teams whooped the shit out of the ACC teams.
But those were both the conference champions at the time. So if Stanford can approach that level again.
What if you include those teams I mentioned, though? Nebraska, Missouri, Texas A&M, Miami, whoever else that I'm forgetting, Arkansas.
I guess Miami has a decent chance this year. Missouri has an outside chance this year. It's a good question. It's it makes you think. It's
Syracuse,
tough.
Boston College, Pitt.
How far back are we going?
Pitt won one. Pitt did win one. Pitt, out of all the teams, is the team that fucking won one.
I mean, if you're going back a ways.
No, Pitt came in with Miami.
Well, yeah, right? What I'm saying is
Florida
State came in and won 70 straight games in the ACC.
No, but that was different because they were also an independent. That would be like Notre Dame.
Yeah, they didn't hop conferences. Yeah. You're right.
Of
course, every team was an independent back then. I think
we're not counting Penn State then either.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of in the Notre Dame thing. Back then, like you would have they were top 5.
Yeah.
I feel like joining going from conference to conference.
I want to say weren't 3 of the final top 5 in the AP rankings, final AP rankings in 1988 independents.
Yeah.
I think it was West Virginia, Miami, and Florida State.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys think Texas has a worse chance to win the conference this year than Oregon or Utah?
Yes, I do.
I think I agree. That's because the SEC is the toughest conference. Exactly.
Yeah, and I actually like A&M's chances better than Texas.
Ooh.
For more on that, check out our SEC previews, team by team. We did all 16 of them.
Hello.
But let's get into this draft. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythms combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. And Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, let's get into this friggin' draft. Let me ask you about week 13, guys. What'd you make of week 13? Improvement over the past 2 weeks, right?
Solid.
Yeah,
yes, an improvement.
Definitely. The last 2 weeks, we saw a good amount of bye weeks. Last 2 weeks, we had between 50 and 55 games. Week 13, this week that we're about to preview, it jumps up to 65 games. So that second bye week is now mostly a thing of the past. And the closer we get to the end of the season, the more meaningful these games are. So I think we got kind of a fire slate here.
Yeah.
I agree. I see 116 people watching this thing right now. Hit that like and subscribe button.
And yet, I think there's probably only one super marquee game on here, if that. So
yeah, that's fair.
but very solid depth.
Let's get to it. NC Nick is on the clock.
All right. That super marquee game is Alabama and Oklahoma. It's definitely the best game of the weekend. This is one of the games that you look forward to when we heard that, Oklahoma and Texas were entering the SEC. Alabama at Oklahoma. I mean, come on, who doesn't love that? It's a rematch of the 2018 Orange Bowl, which was the playoff semifinal that Bama won 45-34. I think it's fantastic that we have Alabama and Tennessee playing at Oklahoma this year in the regular season. I mean, out of all the bad things that realignment brings, those are two fun games. Nobody can disagree with that.
No, I agree. And Oklahoma has a 1-game lead all time, so it's Alabama can catch them.
But also, I think Alabama could have a couple losses coming into this game.
Both these teams are kind of mystery teams this year.
Yeah.
Is that fair? With Jackson Arnold being, we never seen him throw a pass or start. We have seen him throw a pass. We haven't seen him start a game. I think, they're kind of, we think they're good teams, but they're kind of mystery teams as far as like, what's the ceiling? Or like I did we went through our SEC team previews, and I don't have either of these teams making the SEC championship, but I also wouldn't be shocked if either ended up there.
Sure.
I mean, Milroe in DeBoer's system is a mystery. He was not much of a thrower, and DeBoer demands his quarterbacks throw the ball all over the field.
Oklahoma just extended Venables, which was surprising to me. But, I guess from a recruiting standpoint, you want to know if your coach is going to be there.
I think he's in a safe place so far. 10 wins. Was it year 2 last year?
Year 2, 6 and 7, year 1. But like I said,
a lot of turnover there. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
This is an important year for him. Alabama number 2 all time on the all-time college football wins list, 965. Oklahoma number 6 at 944. These are definitely blue bloods.
Yeah.
And what I was about to say was that there's a decent chance Alabama has 2 losses coming into this game. Maybe they drop the game to Georgia, and maybe they lose one on the road at LSU or at Tennessee, or maybe even Mizzou surprises them at home. A third loss might just totally crush their playoff chances, possibly. So, it's a huge game.
I think that's the thing too, man, is when you really look at this, this week in general, this week and next week, when we preview week 14, there's so many games that I think might have major. Imagine if both teams have 2 losses here. You know what I mean?
This is essentially a playoff game.
This becomes such a must-watch game. Not that it wasn't before, but it comes even more of a must-watch game.
Well, you guys mentioned that maybe there might be up to 60 teams with like legitimate playoff hopes. So
I have a list with like somewhere you could argue like the final 8, but I would say somewhere between like 56 and 64 teams that I think could make the playoffs coming into this college football season.
So we're going to be a broken record with most of these games saying, playoff implications potentially, because obviously we don't know, how these teams are going to be looking coming into the week, but in July, it looks like a lot of teams might have a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I would say is astounding about this is both of these teams are playing big games the following week. Alabama has the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. Oklahoma's at LSU.
Oklahoma's at LSU. It's like not much rest. You're playing 2 gigantic games in a row at the end of the season. I would say that's a plus for expansion,
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Patty C.
Well, there's a game with personal meaning. No, I'm not going there yet. But that is a fun one. I don't know why I thought I was going third here, but I will tell you this. Let's keep it local. We're going to keep it local. I don't know that this game has the same level of meaning as probably some of the other games, but it is a rivalry game and it is in a new location. We're going USC at UCLA. I understand if there's pushback here, but the venue's great, obviously, Rose Bowl. And look, we don't know if USC is going to take
Battle
a step
of the Victory
forward.
Bell, right?
I guess so.
It wouldn't shock. Like, I don't know what UCLA is doing with the hire for Deshaun Foster, but he's a former Bruin. You know he's going to take this game seriously because this is a rivalry, and he was there really the last time UCLA was really truly relevant from a national perspective.
That's true. The only problem with this game though is I don't expect either team to be, in really even playoff contention. I could see USC maybe being on the fringe, and so if UCLA was able to upset them and knock them out of the playoffs, then that would be amazing, obviously. But looking up and down the list, I don't see many games that have, both teams in the playoffs necessarily. I see a couple games that have, the potential to knock one team out of the playoff.
So this is what I love here. If you look back at this thing, I think Foster, if I had to guess, he graduated in 2000. If I had to guess, UCLA from 91 to 98 won every single matchup.
Wow.
They won 8 in a row against USC, and then USC in 99 won by 10 and then won by 3 in 2000. That's when Terry Donahue, slash Bob Toledo had this thing rolling, I think. Well, Donahue might have been a little bit before that, but Toledo for sure in the late 90s. I think Donahue was the beginning of the 90s. NC Nick, your thoughts on the Battle of the Victory Bell?
Well, Patty C played a little bit higher than me, but to his point where there was only like one kind of premier game, and then there's a lot of like really good games. So I don't think you can necessarily argue that it shouldn't be played here. It is a really good rivalry, and I think maybe we're all sleeping on USC a little bit. Yes, last year they sucked. They went 7-5, I think, or was it 8-4 maybe? Yeah, well, whatever it was,
8-5,
it was.
I think they beat.
Okay, it was a big disappointment. I think they lost like the last 4 or 5 games of the regular season, something crazy like that. But just 2 years ago, they probably should have been in the college football playoff. And at that point, Lincoln Riley was the toast of the town. And just one bad season, and like nobody expects anything from them anymore. Yeah. I understand that. I understand that they're a soft team. I think they've been soft under Lincoln Riley, but they're not too far removed from almost making the 4-team college football playoff. So why can they not maybe make a 12-team college football playoff?
Fair.
Miller Moss laying a clunker in the spring game probably didn't help there, but
that means nothing. He looked great against Louisville.
Yeah, in the bowl game, he threw 6 touchdowns.
But he might not even start. I think Mavia, the UNLV transfer, is rumored to be the guy.
Well, competition's a good thing. So yeah, maybe USC is a little better here. UCLA, I don't know that that's a huge home field advantage, but I think they typically give USC a pretty good game. So on competitiveness alone, I expect this to be a decent game.
And what was our theme of last week? It was like the favorite on the road in a tricky situation. And this game fits a bill. There's a couple more games this week that also fit that bill, where maybe we'll see a home dog make a big upset and ruin and potentially ruin the season for the favorite.
And I don't think it's that far fetched to sit there and say like, hey, USC could be in a spot to make the playoffs here. Like I'm looking at their schedule. Like I know we favor LSU if you listen to our LSU preview, but Brian Kelly's given up a lot of points to some teams that can throw the ball around, and they've lost some games that they traditionally don't lose. So it wouldn't shock me if USC upsets LSU in Vegas, and then all of a sudden, if that happens, you can build a scenario where they'll be playing that UCLA game with 1 or 2 losses there.
I'd argue they could even drop the LSU game and still potentially be okay. Like at Michigan in week 3, is that tough? Yes, it is. But Michigan is not the same team as last year. USC, while I favor Michigan in that game, they could potentially win that. And then look at the rest of Minnesota, Maryland, Rutgers, Washington, Nebraska. Those are like 500-ish teams.
Honestly, I think, it's funny the narrative that the Big Ten is better than the Pac-12. Not last year. I know Michigan won the national championship, but Michigan played a lot of average Big Ten teams. Now, Michigan still was the best team in the nation. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying the gauntlet of the Pac-12 was much harder than the Big Ten last year.
I pulled up a stat and I found when looking at Michigan's schedule, they did not play a single team on their entire schedule. Maybe Ohio State, but I don't even think it was Ohio State. I think no team on their schedule was higher than number 45 in both offense and defense in terms of national ranking. So they were playing either an average offense or an average defense every week of the season, straight through the national championship. Never in a 15-game schedule did they play. That's unbelievable.
I mean, they had a 2-game regular season, Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah.
And then the Big Ten championship game was a joke. So,
yeah.
You could say USC could even lose to LSU and Michigan and be coming into this game 8-2.
And then if they win this and beat Notre Dame at home,
then they're
following week,
10-2.
yeah.
Right.
Win over Notre Dame on the last game of the season.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, pick 3 goes to Dundee here. Look, I'm terrified of this game. I'm taking you to the SEC. I'm terrified of this game because I have Texas A&M to make the playoffs this year. I think Texas A&M, there's a strong shot they're playing for the SEC championship for the first time ever, and they can steal some of that shine away from Texas. But this game scares the fuck out of me because on deck is this Texas A&M game, and I don't know if you've caught that big party in Austin where if you caught a little bit of that, you saw the athletic director of Texas calling them out, right? And then you got they just stole their baseball head coach. This game's never been bigger.
Oh, they were calling out A&M.
Yeah.
At the wow. Yeah.
So like this game's never been bigger, I think, in the history of this game.
Not afraid to make bulletin board material.
But the week before, Texas is hosting Kentucky, which I don't think. I always thought Kentucky's kind of fool's gold. Whereas A&M's got to go to the Plains. I feel like this is a fucking trap, man. I think Auburn's gonna beat him. I think Hugh Strip Club Freeze is gonna take down Mike Elko on the Plains here at Jordan Hare. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. Let's go Aggies. NC Nick, your thoughts? Texas A&M at Auburn.
I love it. Look, Auburn is gonna upset at least one, if not 2 teams at home this year. Last year, in year 1 for Hugh Freeze, they lost at home by 7 points to Georgia. They lost at home by 7 points to Ole Miss. They lost at home by 3 points to Alabama. Those are 3 top 10 teams that they were very close to knocking off, especially Alabama. We all know what happened there. So when you look at this season, year 2, who do they have coming to them? Actually, Oklahoma right? And A&M, those are the big ones, probably the only big ones.
Yeah,
they could knock off both of them at home
for sure. I almost feel like I said, if you go listen to my A&M preview, I think I said I think I penciled this in as a loss because I was just like, this could because the tiebreaker scenarios, which we still don't know, by the way, this makes this final 2 weeks incredible. Like, I think specifically not the Big Ten, but more so the SEC. I think you're going to have several teams. Big Ten has the 9-game conference schedule, which helps. You're still going to have some situations where you might have a crazy tiebreaker in the Big Ten because you have 18 fucking teams. But in the SEC, like I basically went through, if my SEC previews are correct, which they always are,
never missed one.
Shout out to Weehawk, by the way. Happy 4th. I see you in the chat. Didn't think we are going to do this one, did you?
Nothing can stop college football.
Yes, nothing can stop. But I had a scenario where like Georgia would be playing in the SEC championship against, I don't know how they would, either one of these 4 teams, because I had 4 teams with the same record: Missouri, LSU, A&M, and Tennessee, right? Because I think they have the easiest schedules, right? So I had Alabama like 1 game out on the outside, Texas 1 game on the outside, and they had the head-to-head loss to Georgia. So I don't know what to make of it, but I don't know how they're going to do this. It's going to be chaos. I can tell you that.
Yeah, what the tiebreakers will be? Yeah.
I don't know what all of them would be in the same, and that was just my projections. There's a chance Bama, maybe Bama beats Oklahoma, and then they're in the mix too. You know what I mean? I had them losing to Oklahoma, but this game could really mean something as far as hosting a playoff game or playing in the SEC championship with the right to a bye. It's huge. It's huge, man.
I mean, yeah, depending on if you think A&M, that early game against Notre Dame is huge, we'll figure out where they are. But I think you're right. The schedule overall is favorable. When you're talking about talent, Auburn is sitting there as of last year's talent composite. They haven't 24/7 hasn't released the 2024 one yet, but 2023 talent composite. Auburn was number 18. That was above Florida State, above Ole Miss, above Missouri. They're still a talented team, and while they haven't found a way to get the wins, Auburn is never that far away from a big 10-win season,
I just feel like A&M is going to be focusing on Texas so much too.
Yeah.
It's like that's a nightmare matchup right there for me. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure A&M has their sights set on the playoffs, so they probably definitely want to get this one. But if they had to get one of the two,
they're going to be thinking about Texas. Like, they're already thinking about Texas.
If they had to get one of the two, I'm sure they'd rather get Texas, but I'm sure they'd rather not lose either one of them. So yeah, this is a threat to A&M.
NC Nick, it jumps back to you.
Well, this is where it's tough because there's a couple local games which I love, but I guess I'll wait and try to play one of those in round 3. There's only 2 games that have ranked teams going up against each other. But I think
preseason ranked, right?
Yeah. Well, of course. What other kind of rankings are there right now?
Well, maybe you. I just gave you my SEC preview on how many teams with a tiebreaker would involve. I thought maybe you were saying I got this team ranked by week 13.
Oh, fuck it. I'm going to steal Colby's thunder. I'm going to take you to my favorite Big 12 game of the week. And that is, I guess, right down the line on your graphic. Colorado at Kansas at Arrowhead. This is a fun game here. And something about at Arrowhead where, in general, we don't like that. We like it at Kansas. But I don't know. I think, with Deion and with his NFL past, at Arrowhead kind of sounds fun for this game. Am I wrong?
No. Well, first you have the fact that, the Big 12 championship, when Colorado played in the Big 12 the first time, the championship game was in Arrowhead every year. So it's you are going back to Big 12 land. It's not that offensive to play it at this NFL stadium.
Curious who's played more games in Arrowhead.
Yeah, that's true. Wait,
did Kansas and Missouri used to play in Arrowhead every year though?
Yeah.
Okay, so probably Kansas then.
So this is the one that goes back 121 years. All right, so
pretty long.
This is I'm glad it's back on the schedule. They haven't played in fucking 14 years. All right. Kansas did win the last one, 52-45 in 2010. That was Mangino still.
That was back when the Big 12 offenses were lighting up the scoreboard.
Now that's the SEC. But believe it or not, Kansas has won 4 of 5. That's when Colorado was starting to hit the dark time. That's when Mangino was firing away.
Which they still haven't gotten out of.
Ooh. We'll see about that.
Not yet.
We'll see about that. Played for the Pac-12 championship in 2018. All right. So I'll say 10 wins. 10 wins. All right.
True.
You know the longest drought for any power school to make a bowl.
I think it's a team that is very close to where I live. Huh?
No, it's Nebraska.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say to not win a conference championship, and that's NC State.
That's NC State.
No, I was just throwing shade at Nebraska here.
Catching strays.
Colorado does have a 19-game lead on Kansas. Patty C, your thoughts on the Buffs, Kansas? This is one though. If we're talking, I know the Big 12 released their the AP poll. Colorado was picked 11th. I laughed at that. I also laughed at them having UCF pretty far back too. I think they were 8th, right? But I feel good about that because they had TCU 10th the year that they went to the national championship. So this is I actually think this is going to have implications.
Again, Big 12, you'd be foolish to think that, to decisively say that most of the games couldn't potentially have implications even at this point in the season. Certainly Colorado has all the hype in the world. Kansas
they're picked 11th though.
Picked 11th in the Big 12.
Yeah,
that's why
I actually think Colorado's in a pretty good spot here because last year is when the media surrounding Prime was just crazy. This year I feel like it's a lot quieter.
I think they're so much better of a team too, dude.
I think you can rely on Colorado being very competitive in the Big 12.
Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this some though? Because they have Utah finishing first, right? Like the AP, right? Or the Associated Press. Yeah. Colorado lost by 6 in Salt Lake City last year.
Yeah.
Right. without Shedeur Sanders. Now I know Utah didn't have Cam Rising, but like I said earlier in this episode, Cam Rising he's played like one complete season in his life. So it's like, okay, but I just think like you look back at Colorado, they only got blown out in 2 games, and that was in Pullman and in Eugene, right? I think the team is a lot closer than they realize. Travis Hunter missed a month too of the season, so it's like,
I wonder how big of a deal that is, because I saw him got burned pretty frequently. It seemed like
Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
dude, I know he had over 750 yards receiving, so he would have had 1,000 yards
on the offensive side of the ball. He was missed.
I can see that that cracky, the cocaine bear, is not impressed with Colorado so far.
Shout out to Cracky.
Oh, they won't be coming into Rock Chalk. They'll be going into Arrowhead,
yeah,
which is also a little bit disappointing. Like we mentioned, we've talked about
prefer college football games on campus. Always.
Purple Mountain Majesty, Amber Waves of Grain. That's kind of that variety that makes the Colorado versus Nebraska rivalry a good one.
Oh yeah,
that. Also, Arrowhead might not be around much longer, so might as well get in some games there while you can, right?
That is true. And if the Chiefs move it, they better keep that stadium. Fucking make that the headquarters of put that in one of those shitty, get that shitty bowl game out of the Superdome and move it over to Arrowhead if that happens. But yeah,
this is Leipold, very underspoken guy, great coach, on a lot of different levels, whether it be X's and O's, whether it be personnel, whether it be development. Primetime, obviously a very different style, so a contrast in styles that is fun.
The Jalen Daniels versus Shedeur Sanders could have some big time fireworks.
That could. There probably is going to be a lot of offense in this game.
Yeah, the Big 12 has some really good quarterbacks this year. When you think about Cam Rising, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Daniels, Avery Johnson, you got 4 that really light it up, or could light it up. Where are we going next, Patty C?
Look, it may seem early to you, but I'll be damned if I'm not pulling this trigger. And
please,
Nick, you might not like it, but I'm beating you to this punch, and James Madison is going to beat Appalachian State to the punch when they take them down in Boone.
Well, history has something to say about that. NC Nick, you're going to be at this one, aren't you?
I've been to the last 2 JMU App State games, and the road team has won each time. Both games have been fantastic, football games. So no, I love this game also, Patty C. I'm going to try to be there for the 3rd year in a row. It is a budding rivalry in the Sun Belt East. This is the epitome of G5 football, small town college football, great fan bases. Should be another fantastic game. I'm getting excited just talking about it.
Yeah, and the all-time record differs whenever you go to each site. Either way, JMU is certainly not winning it. According to JMU's website, it's 13-5 in App State's favor, going back to 1980. App State's website says it's 9-2, but they only go back to 85.
I've never seen like
there's a
6-game discrepancy between, or however
there's
many.
A bunch that do this. But this is where
I would say that this game, and we say it a lot, but I would say very likely that this game has Group of 5 playoff implications. All it takes is a little carnage in the Mountain West, right? And a couple teams to come out with 2 losses there, the champion and the runner-up had 6 and 5 losses respectively in the Mountain West last year. That ain't making the playoffs. And App State is hosting Liberty this year. Liberty got by on a cakewalk schedule last year.
App State does have Clemson though.
That's true, but they can take that loss.
And
don't just say they're going to take a loss to Clemson. App State is not afraid to go anywhere and play anybody
here. Are you guys still not? Where are you guys at with that? Are you guys starting to buy into ECU?
No,
yet?
I think they're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be.
You don't
elite.
think they're contenders in the AAC?
They could be, because the AAC sucks. But we need how he's got these clips for the audio. We need video clips for YouTube with Ern McCracken doing the "oh no" every time he talks about ECU. Look, I'm not scared of. I think App State's probably not scared of ECU.
I don't think JMU is sniffing the New Year's Six. I think they lose to Charlotte week 1. Their whole team is starting at Indiana. Their whole team is starting at Indiana.
Buddy.
I'm going to give you, check this
Culture.
They're going to lose at Charlotte. That's 1 loss. They're going to lose at North Carolina. That's 2 losses. Right? They're going to lose at Georgia Southern. That's 3. I got them with it. This is their
I stopped
4th
listening
loss.
to you when you said they're going to lose at Charlotte, and I think everyone in the audience stopped listening to you. Okay, so
ask Memphis what Charlotte did to them last year. Do you think Memphis is a contender? No, let me guess. You don't think they're a contender, huh?
what did Charlotte beat Memphis?
No, they took them to overtime. Though.
No,
Right?
okay.
Lost by 6 in overtime.
Look, I think App State, could lose to Clemson, and it probably won't matter. I mean, I think most of us would expect a Group of 5 team to have a loss at the end of the season. Especially if they've played a high-level Power 5 team.
Right.
I expect JMU to probably lose at North Carolina this year. I don't think it matters. I think both of these teams could very well find themselves in that conversation at the end of the year. And plus, you throw in the heated games on the football field and the fact that App State beat us in basketball 2 or 3 times last year, despite I think it was 2 of our 3 losses on the whole fucking season. We want to beat them. We want to beat App State.
Oh man, you guys are underselling ECU.
We're not even talking about ECU. We're talking about James Madison at App State. Quit trying to
understand,
crowbar
but
that
ECU
bullshit in
is
here.
ECU's the real school when you think about North Carolina football. It's not NC State, who hasn't won a championship since goddamn fucking.
And he's bringing up NC State. He's just mad that his team
App State
is not in this
losing
conversation
to ECU
right now.
this season. So that, ECU is gonna have that, and they're battling for the same spot. Petty C is my point. And JMU is going to be like 6-6, so I don't know where he thinks a 6-6 Sunbelt team's got a chance to go to the playoffs, right? Oh man. Anyway, and Cincinnati won 2 games this past year. What were they the year before?
What
It happens all the time, buddy.
It doesn't happen
You're
where you
stuck in this 1980
improve
model.
by 10 games.
Right?
You might lose 10 more games. You don't all of a sudden become super elite overnight.
Really? TCU went 5-7 and then made the national championship the next year.
Yeah, 5-7.
ECU wasn't very close to 5-7, right?
No, yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. ECU should have been 5-7 last year if you watch the games. Anyway, let's go to some real ones. I'm gonna get the Sunbelt Trat. No, I'm joking. That's a good game. But I am disgusted that you took it over the greatest play in the history of college football.
Oh,
it's an ACC classic now. All right, and I know you guys, NCAA's gonna look down on this one. All right.
No, it's ACC ball now.
Now
it's one of the best rivalries in the country, according to Nick.
I mean, I honestly believe this is what we should show aliens if we had to go and explain football to another planet, another species. Yeah. I would say this is the play. It's known as what, the play, right? Or the game, right? Which one? The big game. Yeah.
The big game. Yeah.
I don't think that's accurate, because then they would expect the band to always be on the field.
Which
I think that's true. They should.
I think you're going to confuse the
that
other
should
species.
be a reward of every football game is you get to hit a fucking band guy every time you score a touchdown.
They have to march their band out. You just pick one guy to
that would be fucking phenomenal. They've been playing this one for what? Over 130 years, guys. Come on.
Can't argue with that.
Cal, Stanford. You got Patty C. Even you bought a Cal shirt. To look like one of those 1980s fucking.
Oh yeah, I got my Cal rugby shirt.
Oh yeah, man.
Ready to drop acid and go hang out in the trees.
Say it, man. They got a new statue. They got a new statue of what's my guy's name that did the play? I always draw Cone, Kevin Cone,
Moan?
I think it is. Moan. Kevin Moan. Yeah.
You're thinking David Cone.
and say what you want about it. They have had some good ones lately. They had the missed extra point game not that long ago. That was hilarious that Cal lost on a missed extra point. And obviously when you have that many classics, to me, it's just, it's a great rivalry. It's underrated. People don't appreciate it because they think it's, too fickle fan bases, but that's part of the fun, by the way.
Who would you have thought would have had the series lead in here?
I would have thought Cal.
Yeah, me too. But
Stanford's got that lead.
Kind of dominant.
Shout out to Pop Warner.
Nice pull.
But back in that era.
1903.
NC Nick, your thoughts on Cal Stanford?
No, I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier. This rivalry has never meant much to me, whether living in Virginia or North Carolina. That is potentially East Coast bias. And honestly, just because they're in the ACC now, it still doesn't. Like, I'm intrigued when ACC schools go out to play these teams or when they come on the East Coast. But when they're playing each other, it doesn't do much for me.
Hater.
You know what kind of sucks about this is there was the possibility that they would have both been really good at the same time. Jeff Tedford had
why is this not next week?
Cal at 11-1. Oh, it's
Yeah,
because
it really
Notre Dame.
be.
Notre Dame's at USC next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is both of these teams, Notre Dame fucked up Stanford, Cal, and USC, UCLA to where USC or no, both Cal and UCLA were like, fuck, we're sick of playing second fiddle, so we're just gonna play each other on the last game of the season. We'll play our local rivalry game on the week before. That's my take on it because they used to play on Thanksgiving weekend, and I think like within the past 10-15 years, they're like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah.
So next week, Stanford has San Jose State, and Cal has SMU.
So that stopped obviously with the breakup of the
they got to fix
conferences.
this. They got to fix.
Yeah,
this.
they should easily be
last
playing.
week of the season. Patty, see your thoughts on this game. You like this rivalry?
But still, Stanford will still play Notre Dame every other year on the last week of the season. So they put Cal in second place. My thoughts on this game? I love it. It's a fun game. The Bay Area has a shit ton of talent. Who's that team up there? Not Mater Dei. Mater Dei's down here, but
our guy Nick Rolovich is coaching at a high school.
The high school up in the Bay Area that won like 130 straight games. One of the best. I mean, they have good high school football. They have good players up there.
Does Murder Mountain have a football team? Little Mendocino County.
Well, yeah. Brock Bowers is from the Bay Area. I mean, OJ Simpson, he killed it.
It's wild that he did kill it. Both of these teams aren't better traditionally. You know, I don't know. This rivalry should be amazing, but it's okay. It's good, but certainly they take each other very seriously, and so it's fun. I like it.
All right. Better than that JMU trash. All right. Where are you taking us, NC Nick?
Weekday Nick is in the house, and this is another game very local for me. Thursday night, NC State at Georgia Tech.
This is overplayed.
I don't think so.
This is over fucking played.
I think. Tell me NC State isn't like Kansas, but Kansas is at least quasi at home. NC State has a tough road trip at Georgia Tech. NC State has an outside chance at a college football playoff, same as Kansas does. Why is this game not the same? Georgia Tech was better than Colorado last year.
Their record was better. I think if Colorado would have played them, they would have won. But
I disagree.
Colorado's schedule was the hardest in the nation, arguably, last year.
That's a tough one.
Georgia,
I would lean Georgia Tech slightly last year.
Brent key my ass. All right. No. This is way overplayed.
I would say
this is way
overplayed.
This is a standalone game Thursday night.
Flag on the fucking play.
If you're playing Colorado, Kansas, and I'm playing NC State, Georgia
Thursday
Tech, what is the fuck is the difference?
Well, I'll say this. I only push back on Colby because Colby has been harping on the fact that he doesn't think NC State or rather Florida State, Miami, and Clemson will all be in the playoff picture because they play each other several times, and so there's going to be carnage there. And he thinks. What did you say? Virginia Tech, UNC.
I said like 7
NC
teams.
State, Pitt,
Syracuse. Hold on, who am I forgetting? There's another one too. There's Louisville
could all be in play at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, he's right that they could be in play, but NC State will lose this game.
Well, that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. But what makes it fun is Southeast Louisiana at Nichols is going on at the same time, and that game will be better. All right.
I would be lying if I said either of these teams interests me even slightly in terms of.
No, like this game deserves to be in the top 30. But if you're telling me it's better than a couple other games that could have both teams could be involved with the implications
compared to Colorado, Kansas.
Yeah, I think both teams have a
shot.
How
many wins did Kansas win in the regular season last year? Was it 8? Did they go 8-4, or was it 9-3?
I don't remember. 8 or 9. I would say.
I can tell you, NC State went 9-3 regular season. I can tell you, Georgia
Tech. I can also
Tech,
tell you they played 8 conference games.
I can tell you Georgia Tech went to a bowl game and beat UCF. Both that's better than Colorado did.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't mean to be TMZ
if
here.
If you put Colorado in the ACC, they would have went to a bowl game last year.
Maybe. Probably more likely. They would have been better, obviously, than they were. Both Lance Leipold, even though I mentioned that he's not the most outward, flashy guy, has generated a lot of interest for what he's done at Kansas already. Primetime obviously has made Colorado into an interesting brand.
How about that? We have three Heisman candidates in that game, by the way, with Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and Jalen Daniels.
Maybe 3 top 10 draft picks.
You with this bullshit with Georgia Tech, all right?
Overplayed, but look, there is room for personal opinion in here. So, and look, maybe NC State is at this point playing for the ACC championship, which is probably more than at least Colorado can say for themselves. I mean, I think
Colorado's a contender.
I think they're competitive, but they do have a long way to go.
Colorado?
Yeah.
I think they're a contender in the Big 12 this year.
I think they could.
They were in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was way better than the Big 12 last year.
Yeah, Colorado had a very bad defense last year.
Yeah.
That has to improve greatly. It's a lot. All the hype. Look, you got players quitting. You got players quitting the team left and right because Deion Sanders is making them try and support Shedeur Sanders' rap career.
That's bullshit.
No, that's like
I'm not buying that story.
Oh, you're a Colorado fan, so of course you're not.
But there's a million bullshit stories out there.
Well, anyway, we've already talked about Colorado because that was a couple games ago. That was my pick last round. Okay. If there's nothing else on NC State, Georgia Tech, if you guys are sleeping on that game, let's move on to the next.
All right, fair enough.
How do you see it jumps to you?
Well, I'm inclined to take us to Mountain West country, but it might be a little early on that.
It's not. You just played JMU App State. He just played Georgia Tech, NC State.
I know that Cocaine Bear's been talking about that game in that chat too. I don't think it's too early because I kind of agree with what he's saying.
Well, then I'll pull the trigger. Assuming I'm talking about the same game, we're talking about Boise State at Wyoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know if the Cocaine Bear listened to our Boise preview, but
or Wyoming preview.
We did them both. But I definitely think, look, Wyoming is always a live home dog. And even though I really like Boise this year, I think they better watch out for this road trip. They definitely better watch out.
And you want to talk about playoff on the line, I think both teams have a pretty – if I had to rank the order for the Mountain West, number 1 would be Boise, number 2 would be Fresno, and number 3 would be Wyoming. My order for them is like when I look at each team.
Yeah.
I think those are the 3 best teams this year heading into the season.
That's not that far, out of the consistency with what happened last year. In fact, when you talk about from a record standpoint last year, overall record, tied for first were Air Force, Wyoming, and Fresno. And then Boise comes in 4th. So 9-4 versus 8-6 for Wyoming. And then Wyoming hosting the team, hosting the game. Is that, do you think, a substantial home field advantage for them against Boise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at who Wyoming has beat at home. And now we're talking about mid-November. We already have it's a 7 p.m. Eastern time kick. So what, 5 p.m. local time. So it's going to be dark. There's weather could definitely play a factor. I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Should be a fun one.
And Timothy in the chat, like, I appreciate you, but come on, Oklahoma State lost by 30 points at home to South Alabama last year, and they played for the Big 12 championship. All right, Utah comes in year 1 is favored to win this thing. Colorado's not that far away. They lost by 6 at Salt Lake City last year, right? Colorado played, what was it? I think majority of their schedule was bowl teams. You know what I mean? And with bowl teams at that, I'm talking about Oregon, Utah, teams that I think would have won. I think Oregon would have won the Big 12 last year. I think USC would have played in the Big 12 championship. So I don't think there's some gigantic fucking gap there.
I mean, especially with the questions regarding Ollie Gordon, we don't know like what his deal is. Now, obviously the first 3 weeks of the season they're playing non-conference games, so he'll be back by then.
He might get kicked off the team. You never know.
Could be kicked off the team, but after that, weeks 4 and 5, Utah at Kansas State, and then West Virginia in week 6. If he is suspended for those 3 games, then you could kiss Oklahoma State season goodbye.
And I'll leave it with this. Colorado went 1-0 against the Big 12 last year, and that was the reigning Big 12 champs, and they were 21-point dogs, and they won in their fucking house.
Georgia Tech also went 1-0 against the Big 12 last year.
Oh, there you go. But Georgia Tech played South Carolina State on the schedule. Show me anything on Colorado's schedule that was South Carolina State or Bowling Green. They lost to Bowling Green. Fuck you. All right. There's no one as bad as a loss to Bowling Green on Colorado's schedule last year. Anyway, let's continue on. Happy 4th. Freedom fries for everybody. I love Boise State, Wyoming, and I really do believe that this one could have major implications.
Certainly on the Mountain West, maybe on the playoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. But having said all that stuff about the Big 12, this is the one where I feel like there's a decent shot that both teams could be playing in the championship game, or this game might mean the championship game. UCF at West Virginia. Oh boy. UCF the very next week is going to host Utah. They could be in a spot to make the championship game. This game terrifies me as someone that took a future on UCF to win the Big 12. I looked at this game and I go, oh God, they're going to lose this one. They're going to lose this one, I think. But maybe they can get it past West Virginia. It's probably going to be cold as shit. Their Florida asses aren't going to be able to handle that. Couches will be burning. But UCF at West Virginia, to me, has, I think both will definitely be bowl teams this year.
I wonder if UCF has ever played in Morgantown.
They played in 2003 and they lost 36-18. In fact, West Virginia is 3-0 in the series. They played last year. West Virginia won 41-28 in Orlando. The one time in Morgantown was in 03. But this is my second favorite Big 12 game. It definitely could have implications. I just find it kind of a fun matchup. I mean, West Virginia recruited Florida a lot, like a lot of schools. So now you got UCF coming to. I mean, the culture clash with Orlando and Morgantown, kind of a fun matchup.
Yeah.
When I think UCF, I think a lot of people have a hard time. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself here. Seeing them as the upper crust elite, just because of probably the recency in the Group of Five, the little brother within the state of Florida, and 3 mega powers that have been over them for a long time in Florida. But maybe UCF is finally
Miami hasn't been a power in 20 years.
Yeah, no, I'm saying UCF has been better than probably all 3 of them over the last 15 years. Maybe Florida State's been a little bit better, but I don't know. I think this could be a major step forward in my perception of UCF if they win the Big 12. But
they also play at Florida this year. That would be a big step too.
Yeah, that would be huge. They do have a shit talking fan base. So does West Virginia.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun game. Love the shit talk. Nothing like a game in Morgantown. So
don't call them the Golden Knights, or there's very sensitive fans are gonna shit down your neck.
Please give West Virginia that ammunition.
UCF. I don't know if this makes sense to you guys. They're like the new breed of NBA player, new breed of gangster. They're like the John Morant. They come in there, they got attitude, they're dunking on people's heads and shit. They got
not really seeing the connection, but
I don't know.
I can appreciate it.
It's just a different thing than we're used to, and that's what UCF represents to me.
I like it. But NC Nick, anything else you want to add?
No, I think it's a fun game. I like it.
All right. Back to you, NC Nick.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to the SEC. This game has potential to be shit, depending on how Florida's season's going, but it has potential to be very dangerous if the season is going better than expected. That is Ole Miss at Florida. Look, talk about the favorite who has a chance at the playoff going to a tricky road spot. Well, hello, this is it. So, Florida could get up for this game, let alone to try to, knock off Ole Miss here. I'll be watching.
I'll raise you one higher. Lane Kiffin's auditioning, and he's going to be Florida's next head coach.
Colby's trying to pump that Rumor.
He's the next Florida Gators head coach, Lane Kiffin.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would
Write it. All right.
It
Write
would fit.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game. Even if Florida's ass, which I think they might be, it's still a dangerous game. You got to go to the Swamp. Ole Miss is. They still haven't told. Like I don't just all of a sudden think of Ole Miss as some factory.
This is a very dangerous game for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is not Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State. They've put up some big win totals the last 3 seasons, but they're more on the phony-ish side, aren't they?
They are. And look, in a year where Florida has, they might be the fans might be down. You let a top 10 Ole Miss come into the Swamp, they will storm that fucking field, as they should. That's their rights as Americans. All right. That's why we celebrate the 4th of July, right? We want the goalpost torn down, right? I love this game. I think it's fun. Petty C?
Of course. I think Florida, anytime you go in the Swamp, is a major threat. I think Ole Miss traditionally has had the propensity to lose a game like this. Especially I'd have to look to see.
Propensity.
You like that word? I'm just trying to get fancy here. I feel like that's what the people of Ole Miss would do.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
They are some fancy pantses with their overalls and their fucking bow ties and shit. Walking on the Grove, drinking their Mai Tais or whatever the fuck they drink down there.
They wear overalls at Ole Miss?
Yeah, I don't know about Mai Tais in Mississippi.
No, what is it? The mint juleps.
The juleps, yeah.
I don't know.
The hottie toddies.
Hottie ties. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Florida's composite talent ranking in 2023 was number 15. Right, which is higher than Ole Miss's. Ole Miss is number 23. So Florida, according to the analysts, is still the more talented team here. And you go into the Swamp, you better be careful.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin, next head coach of Florida. You heard it here first on the College Football Experience. Clip it. Hey, Beanick, clip it. All right. What's that? Lane Kiffin, the next head coach of Florida. Let's go. Clip it.
Look into the camera and say it.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin. Here, hold on. Lane Kiffin, next head coach, Florida Gators. Mark my words. Write it. All right.
You need like a Walter Cronkite like news report sound effect.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
This is Pick Dundee of the College Football Experience. We have shocking news. Hold on, we can do this. This is Pick Dundee of the College Football Experience, and we have shocking news out of Gainesville. Not only did Ole Miss lose and get upset, they stormed the field down there in Gainesville, and then 12 hours after that, Lane Kiffin reportedly taking the job at University of Florida.
He leaves Ole Miss on the tarmac.
He leaves Ole Miss on the tarmac, and he claims to be behind the creation of Gatorade. Let's go, folks. Yeah. All right, Patty C, you're on the clock. Where are you taking us?
I'm dying in this fucking country ass fucked up town.
I'm sorry. Where are you taking us?
I am tempted to go somewhere that will certainly garner some chuckles, some sneers from you guys. But guess what? It is a classic matchup, and it has a historical element to it. I'm taking you to Yankee Stadium.
Oh, no.
Where the Black Knights of Army, I guess, are hosting, but really playing a neutral site and probably, quite frankly, having the smaller crowd against Notre Dame. However, Notre Dame has a tough slate. I want to say they're coming off a big game. Let me double check that. Army, I believe, has a bye before this week. And I think it's the 100-year anniversary of the popularization of the forward pass, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's the Four Horsemen played in this game 100 years. I don't know what the fuck it is. But I know that
Notre Dame they host UVA the week before, so I don't think that classifies as a big game to anybody other
He's
than
a UVA
yourself.
fan. He's trying to bring in a.
They play USC the following week, so maybe it's a look ahead.
Army's only
spot.
won this game 8 fucking times, dude. 8 fucking times, and you're playing this.
Look, I think Army is ready for a bounce back. Let me run through this schedule for 10 seconds.
They haven't won. They haven't beat Notre Dame since '58.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh. All right. Well, maybe this is the year. Listen to this schedule for Army: Lehigh, at Florida Atlantic, win-win. Potentially.
What?
Potentially.
What are you talking?
Picture Army from a few years ago. We know Monken.
Florida Atlantic though is good.
They're not that good. It is in Boca Raton, but they're not that good. They're okay. What's his name's the coach there?
Tom Herman.
Tom Herman. Okay, that's a challenge. Rice after a bye.
Loss.
Not necessarily. In West Point, in Mikey Stadium.
That's true. They could get him there.
Temple Owls.
Win.
Tulsa.
Loss.
Lies. You're an idiot.
I'm high on the Golden Hurricane.
UAB at home.
Win.
Okay. ECU at home. I don't even need your opinion on that. A bye week before hosting Air Force.
Loss.
Probably a loss, but that game is always within 3 points, and it's at home.
So we got a 5-win Army team against.
No, what I'm saying is this team could be a 9-0 coming into this game, hosting Notre Dame. Look, tell me the team that they are more than a touchdown dog in on that schedule. Do you want me to run down it again?
No, please don't.
Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, Rice, Temple, Tulsa, UAB, ECU, Air Force, and North Texas.
Probably Florida Atlantic.
I don't even know about that.
To Patty's point, that there's a lot of potential wins, but
that's a cakewalk.
I had to set that line and be like FAU minus 8, 10, something like that.
Oh, I don't know if you go that high. I mean,
really?
I'm high on FAU, but I think they still have to prove it.
What the hell did Army do last year?
Army won their last 4 games once they ditched the
against who?
Who'd they beat? Air Force, who they whooped by 20.
I know.
Okay,
that's when they didn't have what's
Cross. His name. It was an FCS. They beat by 3. They did beat Coastal Carolina, who played in the Sun Belt Championship both of the years prior to that. And then they beat arch rival Navy. So fuck you.
The 4-win Navy team. Sure.
6-6 at the very least. They were a 6-2.
We do have a time.
2 FCS wins.
And
we do have time for this game. Shut up, Petty.
They beat UTSA on the road. Fuck you both. All right, go ahead.
Nah, it's at 7 p.m. So it's prime time.
There you go.
We don't have times for most games, so it's gonna be tough to watch that game at prime time over like a big SEC matchup or something. Like maybe Bama, Oklahoma is gonna be prime time, and you're pulling up Army, Notre Dame. I don't think so.
This is a bad pick.
To me, there's something sexy about these 2 uniforms going against each other, especially in a classic venue like Yankee Stadium. Maybe I'm a little hokey for it.
I do like that, but this maybe you play this as like
some 29th, of us are going to be watching more than one TV.
All right.
This guy's going to put ECU at number 3 on the list.
Yeah, they're better than James Madison. All right. James Madison, you guys still a female school?
Didn't we whoop you guys by like 30 the last time we played you?
One time when they had Scotty Montgomery a mole. All right.
There's a million excuses.
It's like America was down the year Snowden was doing that shit. You know what I mean? Scotty Montgomery was a mole. We figured this out. Anyway, final pick of this first part A. Let's go to. You look, if you really want to build something instead of this bullshit that you're just throwing out there every damn pick. Hear me out on this. Washington State could actually go pretty far this year. They could go 10-11 wins, I believe. I think they're better than Washington. I love I want the Apple Cup to be the final game of the year, but it's not this year. But I actually think that works to Washington State's credit. If Washington State can beat Texas Tech week 2, which is a big if, but I think after that, if they beat Texas Tech, I think they can beat Washington. I think they will beat Washington. Then you're looking at what are their toughest games? Well, at Boise, at Fresno, but they get a bye week before Fresno. So let's give them the Boise loss there. Then you look at the rest of the way and you're like, this is South. They could do this. They could go 10-2, 11-1, and be in the mix for the playoff there.
Potentially. When we talk about their losses last year, they had some bad ones though.
Yes, but a lot of that I think was because of that news. When that shit came out, I heard someone else talking about this. They were undefeated before that news dropped about them not being a part of the new.
Oh yeah.
So I don't understand how a team would like players would just tank it then. If anything, that would galvanize you and say, let's do it. This is our season. This is it.
To hit the transfer portal.
I mean, to be fair, coming out of that game, they lost 3 in a row to some pretty good teams. And 8-5 UCLA team on the road.
Yeah.
A 10-3 Arizona team. What did Oregon do?
Like 11
or 12 wins on the road.
Right? 11-1.
So maybe those 3 straight losses and put them in a bad state. Then they had 3 straight terrible losses: Arizona State, Stanford,
They
and
almost
Cal.
beat the team that played in the national championship.
Yeah.
They had the lead with 4 minutes left in the game?
On the last game of the season, too. Yeah, I agree that they're probably better than that 5-7 record, and they'll certainly be better against this upcoming schedule than that.
I think you guys are missing the point here. I don't think Wazoo is going to go to the. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a double-digit win team. But I think the thing is that I think I'm on the record for saying previous years I don't really care when Wazoo and Oregon State play each other. I used to care when a bigger school like Washington or Oregon played at Wazoo or at Oregon State. But this year, this is a celebration of the Pac-2. You know, I think, and obviously these two teams, they're bound together, but they're also, I think this is going to be the new big rivalry. Yeah. You know, because they're bound together without anybody else, at least for now. So I think let's all celebrate the Pac-2 and fuck expansion, and let's all watch this game.
I agree. It's beautiful.
Amen.
It should be. I mean, what other conference has ever consisted of 2 teams? What other conference has ever had a 1-game season for the conference championship? Fucking amazing.
I'm sure at some point we could dig that up, but maybe.
Didn't they both just join the WCC for all sports except football?
Yeah.
Okay, so they are conference mates.
Just for 2 years, though, I think, or something like part-time. I don't know. All right, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. We got 260 people here. Hit that like and subscribe button. We want to hop over to side B for the audio side of things. So if you're listening to this, make sure you check out side B where we draft the rest of these games. And happy 4th of July from the college football experience. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Week 13 preview and picks episode. We drafted the first set of games. We also talked about conference expansion or realignment, not expansion. Realignment. Texas is now in the SEC. Go listen to that. Utah State had a shakeup at the head coaching position. Blake Anderson gone. Nate Drilling coming in. So check out all of that on the A side of things. But now we're talking B side, and NC Nick is on the clock. Where are you taking us?
Well, officially switched from Busch Lights to bourbon.
Nice.
Some of us don't have to work tomorrow. Cheers to those that don't. And you know what? While we're on talking about bourbon, I'll take you to the other game that actually pits 2 top 25 preseason ranked teams. Surprisingly, a little bit. The first game was we took it number 1 overall, Bama, Oklahoma. The second, Kentucky at Texas.
Get the fuck out of here with this one. Kentucky being top 25, my ass.
Wait,
we know these preseason polls are a bit jaded towards the SEC in most cases. It's an interesting matchup just because they've never played before. Do I think Kentucky has a chance of winning on the road at Texas? Probably not, but I think this could be a close game. I think the newness of it is interesting.
I mean, has Kentucky ever beat a ranked team in football?
They beat Florida a lot lately, but I guess they haven't been ranked.
Although didn't both Maryland and West Virginia go into Texas and get W's? Those feel like similar teams to Kentucky.
This is the second all-time meeting. Texas has a 1-0 lead. They won 7-6 back in 51. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, having Kentucky preseason top 25 is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So what has Kentucky done though? I guess they've been a 7 or 8 win team, but didn't Stoops get them up to 10 recently?
1 year they had 10, but once again, some of that shit is they have a great formula, and that formula is disappearing here. They're keeping half the formula, which is schedule a bunch of shitty MAC schools, and then the other one was being the SEC East.
Although this year they have Miami of Ohio from the MAC, or not Miami. They rather have the Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, but Ohio sucks this year.
Potentially, they were 10-win team last year.
They lost.
Actually, Colby. Kentucky had 2 victories over top 20 teams when they played them last year.
Was one of them Iowa with everybody with the?
They didn't play Iowa.
Tennessee.
No.
That was the year before. That was
right.
The year before.
No, it was Florida and it was Louisville.
They put. Okay, the Louisville one I'll give them credit for. The Florida one, they never deserved to be in the top 25 last year.
I agree.
That's just bullshit. That's just them phoning it in. Yeah, it's all right. You know what I mean? I would have played a little longer, a little later, but if it was at Kentucky, I would buy it.
Yeah, I hear you. And the year before that, they had 2 top 25 wins. Again, Florida and Louisville.
Wait, Louisville was Satterfield was top 25?
They were 25. Yeah. They were 25th, I mean.
Shout out to Timothy Green. This is a top 5 sports channel on YouTube, hands down in my opinion. Appreciate you, Timothy. Yeah. Patty C, Kentucky, Texas. You excited for it?
I mean, the only possible thing is I think I did see Sarkisian saying that one of the challenges he's already having is battling complacency in that country club environment that crept in under Mac Brown. I don't understand how it's possible that could already be a problem there, but maybe he's just being proactive in keeping that from happening. The game itself, I don't anticipate being very interesting, but they're two pretty good. I mean, Texas is a very good team, and then Kentucky's proven themselves to be a solid team over the years, so maybe they got a surprise up their sleeve, but in Austin, not so much.
You're back on the clock, buddy. Where are you taking us?
Well, there are some games in the FCS ranks that might merit playing at this point, but I don't think I'm ready to make that jump just yet. So I am going to go to your big board. Let's scroll it back to page 1 there. And we are going to go with a game that, depending on how things shake out for Penn State, could be a roadblock toward the end of the season. We are going to Minnesota, where the Nittany Lions will take on the Golden Gophers. I don't know. I mean, Penn State getting the home game against Ohio State is huge. I think Drew Aller probably wants to, make up for last year, the last couple years.
He can want all he wants, but if he checks down again, they're not doing shit. All right, but
no, but that was crazy. That was his reputation coming into the season and into that game, and he just continued to do it. It's like I have no desire to buck this, and almost credit to him for that. But it is a legit problem. You have to throw the ball down the field and have a dynamic offense to compete against Ohio State.
Minnesota is 4-2 at home since the year 2000 against Penn State.
That's impressive.
They've won 2 straight against Penn State in Minneapolis, and even the ones they lost that happened in 2010, they lost by 12 there. And in 2006, they lost by 1, but the other ones, 4 wins, 2 losses since the year 2000.
Wasn't there a huge one just a couple years ago?
Yeah, the last time they played in Minneapolis, they won 31-26 against Penn State.
Didn't that cost Penn State dearly? I feel like, or maybe
so.
It was.
No, I think you're right.
Rewarded Minnesota, but I think it did cost Penn State. Yeah, I recall that game having special implications. I was also shit faced at the bar for that, so that was a fun day. So maybe we get a similar situation here.
And that's probably where, and this is the spot where if Minnesota wins this game, this is where you start hearing the James Franklin to Baylor talk. James Franklin going, what's this? This is Pick Dundee live on set. Fresh from Minneapolis, we're getting news that James Franklin has resigned from the head coaching position of a very John Calipari like, and now he's 1 game left, and he is going to be taking the Baylor Bears job. Nick, your thoughts? Penn State, Minnesota.
A lot of breaking news in this episode. I love it. No, I think this game is very similar to A&M at Auburn, very similar to USC at UCLA, Ole Miss at Florida, NC State at GT. I like it. Whenever we see this far into the season, the favorite who could be flirting with a double-digit win season and therefore flirting with the playoffs, whenever they go on the road against a decent team like Minnesota is, I think we have to be watching, because I think we're going to see some upsets, and this is a potential one of them.
Wait, who's the bigger lawn chair? Is it the Greek Rifle or is it
Greek Rifle transferred?
Oh, where'd he go?
Rutgers.
He's at Rutgers. That's right. Who's running the quarterback spot?
Max Brosmer, transfer coming in from New Hampshire.
Okay, I'm not familiar with his game yet, so we'll have to see how. But look, Fleck, his star has seemed to dim a little bit over the last few seasons, but this guy was a rocket ship before that. I'd like to see him get back on track.
Maybe he's the next Penn State head coach.
Could be.
This is live from State. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I think it's well played. Well played, if I may say so. Much better than that Army Notre Dame bullshit you threw on us.
Guys don't appreciate tradition. You claim to be traditionalists.
Yeah, 8 wins Army has against them.
Yeah, wait, didn't Army almost
has it once since
took
58.
Michigan in overtime within the last decade? Oklahoma to overtime. Yeah, well, guess what? Michigan and Oklahoma have been better programs than Notre Dame, so that's the type of game, especially in New York, that bite Notre Dame.
It's my pick. I will ignore everything Petty C says right now, and I will. Let's go to. I mean, this is the time to play it. Give me the Brawl of the Wild. It's better than everything else on the board, and I don't care what anyone says. Brawl of the Wild, FCS game 1 played here. This is Montana against Montana State. If you don't know, they've been playing this for 127 years. Now it's for the Great Divide Trophy, and I will say the past couple have been blowouts, but it's just got a good history. It's got a fun history. The Brawl of the Wild. NC Nick, start your slander now.
Well, you know me. I mean, I'm a Montana State fan. That's the real school of Montana, not that hippie mountain town.
One team played for the national championship last year, and it wasn't your Bobcats and Bozeman. Right?
They played 3 years ago for the national championship, though.
That's
it's
true.
not like they're that far removed.
I love the game, but man, like I wish it was like Friday night or something. Because for me, who my primary focus is FBS, it's hard to find that FCS game to fit it in there on a Saturday with all these big games.
They need to be in the Mountain West.
Yes. That would
help.
The
only game that has. I mean, I would say this is
best name for a rivalry.
Yeah, Brawl of the Wild's amazing. This and North Dakota State, South Dakota State are the only 2 games that you stop and go, okay, this is worth watching over an FBS game. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Are there any others?
Like I said, I almost played Wisconsin, Nebraska, or Iowa State, Utah here, but that was like I'd rather watch the Brawl of the Wild than those 2 matchups.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's why,
especially if they're both like.
They're gonna
top
be
5.
You know they're gonna be top 5, or at least top 10.
And if there's snow on the ground,
yeah,
it is gonna be a beautiful.
I mean, College Game Day was here just 2 years ago for a reason. This fucking rivalry means something in the whole state. It's all they fucking talk about. It's funny. I have a friend that moved up there, and he's like an NFL guy, but he talks about. He's like, dude, no one gives a shit. He just talks Grizz or Bobcats all year long.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Anyway, playing that one. I'll tell you that you are currently listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Make sure you check out the latest episode of SGP Stories. It's out on Patreon, and the guys do a Forensic Files deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job. Check it out. May or may not have been wearing a neck brace in the video with an Arkansas sweatshirt. Plus, make sure to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and Scott have started out red hot with their locks. Also, want to tell you we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football and college basketball action. It's the dog days of summer. I'm playing MLB. I'm playing CFL. I'm playing UFC. Get on over there, UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, and they're giving away $16 million in prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions. Pick 5 NFL teams, ATS each week, and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th, and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We actually have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP, so check that out. Also, if you don't have a trip booked for Vegas before the football season, may I recommend Ultimate Contest Weekend. It's a great time to go out. Hang out with Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer of the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd to August 24th. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience. And NC Nick's on the clock. Where are you taking us?
All right, I do think we need to play one of these Big 12 games. Every week, it's hard for me to rank the Big 12 games. They're all like pretty good games. But I guess my favorite of the bunch this week is that we haven't played already is Iowa State, Utah. Iowa State has the most returning production in the nation. Utah, the favored, obviously really hard to beat them at home, but I think this is a pretty good game here.
Also, Iowa State leads the series 4-1 all time.
You don't say.
But Utah won the last game 68-27.
How long ago was that?
2010 in Ames, 68-27. Good Lord.
Offensive explosion.
Good Lord, Paul Rhodes. That's what's got that game got you fired. Yeah, look, as much as I want to say that Colorado and Kansas or West Virginia UCF could really have playoff implications and Big 12 championship implications, so is this. I think you could argue any of the three that obviously Utah is the odds-on favorite, so you have that. But Iowa State was in the Big 12 championship in the past 3 years, so wouldn't shock me if they're back in the mix. They return the most production you just alluded to. Sign me up for it, Patty C.
Well, hold on. If I can say one other thing, it's kind of funny that we played UCF, WVU, and Colorado, Kansas before this, because I think these two teams probably have better chances than all of those four.
I think the problem is that it could be a blowout.
Yeah,
because of Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Patty.
Yeah.
No. Curious though, what you think of Matt Campbell's current, progress here, because it looked like for a while he obviously quickly turned that ship around.
Best coaching job I saw last year was him or Saban.
I mean, amazing coaching job, and Saban obviously had the something to show for it. 7-6 doesn't exactly scream
for having 30 guys out. You're starting quarterback, starting running back, like all of them
when
weren't
you consider
eligible.
the context, but there's no shiny prize at the end of it for Iowa State. 7-6.
The difference between the two was that Saban was responsible for bringing all those players in, and Campbell had no control over a gambling ring. I mean, that's just a fluke thing. So I would say Campbell did the better job.
Yeah, I agree with that. But let's review quickly his seasons at Iowa State. 3-9, then boom, 8-5 year two, amazing. 8-5, 7-6, maintaining bowl eligibility. Peaks out at 9-3 with a top 10 finish at number 9. But then since then, 7-6, 4-8, 7-6. It seems like they've lost that momentum to take the next step. If he can get it back on track, and obviously there's been situations arising.
Can we talk about, because even last season they had that field goal that went in. Like they should have beat. I mean, that game against Ohio at least goes to overtime. Now I know you can still say it's Ohio. You should beat them, but Ohio did win 10 games last year. They lost by 7 to Iowa, who won 10 games. Right? They lost by 7 to Kansas, that won 9 games. They only got blown out really in the Oklahoma game. They kept it close with Texas, who played in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like
they're getting
Iowa
players
State,
drafted these days. You know what I mean? Like
we mentioned this before on the podcast. It seems to be on the bad end of some controversial calls. Maybe their time is coming to have enough program cachet that they get the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But these are the games you have to win. I don't know if they're going to Utah and getting a win here, though. I
don't think so either. But I think they're a bowl team again, and I think continuing to build that is good long term, especially with the NIL era. You know what I mean? It's for the folks at Ames. Love this game being played. I think it's a good spot to play it. Patty C, you're on the clock.
Well, I think I'm going to stay in Big 12 country, and we're going to go to Boone Pickens Stadium, where Texas Tech travels to play Oklahoma State. Where both of these teams are in the season remains a bit of a mystery at this point, or at this point in the season, I should say. But do you project Texas Tech to improve? They went 9-4 2 years ago, 7-6 last year.
They should have been 9-3 last year. They should have beat Wyoming and Oregon.
They definitely should have probably beaten Wyoming early on in the season.
Oregon, they had a 10-point lead with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, that's true. They probably should have beaten Oregon. Oklahoma State, I'm guessing, are they the runner-up, odds-on runner-up, or
I think
Kansas
State
second.
Is they're third, so Oregon State's or Oklahoma State's third.
Both these teams, regardless of speculation about other teams like BYU, Colorado, who could very well jump up and have great seasons, these two teams are expected to be in that mix. Great environment for a game.
No, I like this one, and I like the history of this game. I feel like just the orange and black pop on screen to me. There's something about the colors. All-time series: Oklahoma State 24, Texas Tech 23. They have 3 ties as well, so it's right there. I know there's always high-powered offense in these ones, but State has won 3 straight. 3 straight. NC Nick, your thoughts on Texas Tech, Oklahoma State?
Well, it's kind of similar to the game I played, the Iowa State Utah, where it's a little bit more fun to have the favorite on the road. Like if this was in Lubbock, then hell yeah, sign me up. But still, I mean, I think these games are wacky. You know, I would not be surprised if Texas Tech wins this game. So it's a fine game between 2 pretty good clubs here.
Agreed. I like it. Well played. All right, and I will jump to the Big Ten, where Wisconsin heads to Nebraska. Nebraska's getting a ton of hype, guys. You guys buying into this hype?
I might be a little bit.
I know the schedule's nice.
What's their win total set at right now?
I think it's like 7.5 or 8.
That is pretty surprising
for a team that hasn't.
Let me tell you this: they lost 4 games by a field goal.
True, but they've been doing that for 5 years.
But
probably longer than that.
Their quarterback play was fucking abysmal last year.
Yeah.
And it was year 1 under Matt Rule. And usually Matt Rule has a bad year 1. And they got that hot shot 5-star freshman quarterback. That's a big question. Like, how good is he right away? That's who knows. But all I know is that they lost so many close games with a really bad offense and awful quarterback play. I mean, they were, not only those like 3-point losses, but they also lost in overtime at Wisconsin.
No, you're right. You're right. And I'm playing this game because I think the winner of this game probably will have a bowl season. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, I get what you're saying, but Iowa plays everybody, but with a field goal game, right? And you look at the other ones. I mean, yeah, they actually should have beat Minnesota in the opener. They shit the bed there.
Yeah.
But
Jeff Sims doesn't throw like 3 interceptions or something.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the coaching. We just saw Adrian Martinez win the USFL or the UFL championship game.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's something in the Lincoln water that keeps you from winning.
It's the gods after you fired Frank Solich for winning 9 games. You fucking losers. But this has been their story. You go back the year before, 3-point loss to Northwestern in Ireland when they had a halftime lead and they kick an onside kick. 3-point loss to Georgia Southern, 6-point loss to Purdue, 7-point loss to Minnesota, 1-point loss to Wisconsin. That was the year prior. So like this has been something that has just been happening. It almost seems like every single year. I do agree that Matt Rule is proven to year 2s to really jump up. I still think like the media is really hyping them up, and I need to see it a little bit. They're starting a freshman quarterback.
That's certainly fair.
But the schedule is super nice. Like their first, like their schedule: home to UTEP, home to Colorado. That's the big one to me because after that, home to Northern Iowa, home to Illinois, at Purdue, home to Rutgers. They could easily be 6-0 going into their bye week. If they get the Colorado game is the hardest one to me out of those ones. But I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. But I can tell you this could be, big as far as momentum. It could be to make a bowl for both teams. So Wisconsin at Nebraska. Patty, see your thoughts.
So UTEP, Colorado, Northern, they do open the season with 5 home games in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The only tough game in that first stretch. Dude, and then Indiana, that could be 7-0.
Yeah.
That could be 7-0. Of course I like the game. I think these programs are kind of in the same place right now. A little bit of a question mark whether they can take a step forward under their current construction. I would a little more. Who are you more confident in, Wisconsin or Nebraska? I'm not even sure.
Well, with that schedule, I think I would say Nebraska. Let me look at Wisconsin. They get Bama like week 2 or 3, right? 3. Yeah, I feel better about Nebraska because Wisconsin's got Alabama and USC on the schedule the first 4 games.
And the Nebraska games in Lincoln.
And then later in the season, they have Penn State, Iowa, and Oregon. Yeah, I'm going to say Nebraska.
Well, not just this year, but just in the program's
Nebraska
long-term trajectory.
Their NIL collective, I think, is ahead of Wisconsin's. They care more about it.
Probably right.
But Wisconsin, I feel like, hasn't completely abandoned their identity, and they have a little bit, but they haven't. At least they have
Dairy Raid. they nicknamed it Dairy Raid,
but they still ran the ball frequently. I think they've just become a more pass oriented team that still obviously leans on the run to an extent. I think they can win with that. Things can start going in the right direction. Whereas Nebraska has yet to really establish an identity, and I think that is a big question mark. Rule, you would assume they become an elite defense, right?
They were good last year defensively.
Yeah, they'll get back there, I think. Let me ask you this too: why is Nebraska's uniform considered amazing and Wisconsin's not? When it's because
I hate the W. Hate the W.
Motion W.
I'd also say the red is a little darker and a little cornier
in Wisconsin.
For sure.
A little more drab, but Wisconsin's. Nebraska's. Cherry red.
It is a great question.
It pops.
Yeah.
Also, the N on that picture.
It's just
on
a
our
very
screen,
basic N.
I love the N. It's classic. It's old school.
12-point font.
It's before Microsoft Word came out with all these fonts. It's like.
Agreed.
They had no other options. Like put an N up there. It's an N.
All right, folks. Look, before we jump to the next game, I want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. We are back. Patty C. I don't know what's happened to this guy. You got the shits. So yeah, anyway, that was my last play. So it goes to UNC Nick. You're on the clock. Where are you taking us?
Well, good. We should probably pick up the pace. So maybe two people talking about a game will help. Let's go back to the ACC again. A little home flavor for me. Virginia Tech at Duke. Duke's a wild card, and talk about teams getting hype. That's Virginia Tech, rightfully or wrongfully. I know you're not buying into that hype either, and there's reason not to buy into it, but there's also reason to be excited if you're a Hokie fan. But again,
I still think the schedule's so favorable that like I don't know how good they will be, but they could still easily end up in the ACC championship because of that schedule.
But again, you have a team. The Virginia Tech will probably be the favorite here, and they're on the road. Duke has had some success against Virginia Tech, probably a lot more than what ACC, executives thought when the Hokies came into the conference. Cutcliffe kind of had their number there for a while. So I think look, most of the nation probably doesn't care too much about Virginia Tech at Duke, but I do. Damn it, it's my pick, and that's why I'm taking it.
No, you're right. And actually, since 2000, in the past 10 college football seasons, Virginia Tech has a 6-4 lead against Duke. So that's not only Fuente, that's Beamer too.
We'll take that.
6-4 in the past. It's like you said, ACC execs probably when Virginia Tech was entering, they're like, oh, they're going to blow out Duke every year. No, not the case. In fact, Duke won the last matchup 24-7 against Brent Pry. Patty, see your thoughts on Virginia Tech at Duke.
I like it. Good selection. Like you just mentioned, pretty impressive what Duke has done with their football program to raise them to a level of respectability. Virginia Tech, meanwhile, like you said, falling off a little bit. Maybe the hype is that they get it right, but this is a dangerous road spot. Duke won more games last year, and they're at home.
Yeah. Right now, Manny Diaz is the top 25 recruiting class coming to Durham next year.
They're starting to care about football a lot, and I'll say this also. Kyron Drones getting a lot of hype. What if Malik Murphy's the bigger name there?
Certainly seems to have more of the NFL body.
Yeah, it could be a little interesting there. I like it. I'm not gonna give you shit on this one. Patty C, you are on the clock. Where are you taking us next?
Ooh, I think I may have missed one on my spreadsheet, but let me take a look here. There is a game in Charlottesville that involves another Virginia team that I will be personally interested in. I don't think that probably deserves to be played. Let me look at your screen. That might give me an answer a little faster. Okay. Okay, there's a decent game there involving two Big 12 teams. Arizona at TCU. Arizona was very good last year. We know Jed Fish left. We know Fafita stayed. And if that is, if he's a bigger part of that 10-3 record that they had last year.
Not only Fafita, McMillan, a lot of the guys stayed. Their top corner that was highly sought after. Now, I will say this. We talked about teams expanding, the teams coming in new conferences, winning a conference championship. We mentioned Utah, Oregon. No one talked about Arizona. I think
very under the radar.
Very under the radar. Could be the Wildcats in the Big 12. They're 1-1 all time against TCU. It doesn't count for Desert College football because Dallas, or Fort Worth, but
pretty close.
I think it's correctly played here. I think this is two teams that have had big
10-win seasons in the last 2 seasons. So.
Nick, your thoughts on Arizona TCU?
There is something about this game that intrigues me. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think there's gonna be a lot of offense. I think if you're playing DFS, I think you might want to roster some guys in this. Something about the game, I think it's appealing for some reason. I can't really put my finger on why, but I think it's a pretty exciting matchup.
I agree. Well played. Not going to give you shit here.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm going off of your list, so you better not give me shit.
Yeah. Well, at this point, I just threw games up there.
Yeah.
But I will take you to another. There's a couple hilarious games that I find here. Missouri season could come crashing down with a trip to Stark Vegas. Like I could see Missouri being number 5 in the nation right now or something like that. And Lebby, by the time you get to week 13,
are you picking the game or not?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were. Okay, go.
Who the fuck is this guy over here, huh?
You were dilly-dallying. I'm not gonna lie. We had us all waiting there.
Colby will start talking about a game, but not pick it. You're like,
very rarely will I do that. But this one is hilarious to me because I think I'm not a big Jeff Lebby guy, but I will say this: Stark Vegas is one of the low-key best home field environments in college football.
Oh yeah, and bring that cowbell. Where's that at?
They're not going to get. They won't get Bama or something there. They hardly ever get Bama there, but they can beat Missouri in Starkville. All right, like I don't even know when's the last time Missouri played in Starkville, because with this they probably haven't played in 15 years in Starkville. But this is a dangerous game. The goalposts are going to be torn down if this happens. And
do the Bulldogs fans, the loyals, think that highly of Missouri that they're going to tear down the goal?
I think they could be top 10 at the time. So come on, in Starkville, they'll tear anything top 25. They'll tear down the goalpost. All right,
and they have played once there in 2020, and Mississippi State won.
No fans.
32.
No fans that year though.
Yeah, and Mississippi State still won.
Yeah, this is a hilarious game, and I think it could even though I know I just built up a thing of Missouri to potentially play in the SEC championship, and I gave Missouri this win. It's a terrifying matchup here, right? Because you got Arkansas, you got your border war on deck. This is one that could be sneaky. Nick, your thoughts?
All right, you're starting to sell it. I'm starting to buy it a little bit. I mean, it has the recipe that we've been talking about, where the favorite, who might be having a nice season, perhaps a special season, is on the road very late in the year. So potentially, I'm worried about Mississippi State this year. I think they might be really bad. So if they might not be capable of pulling off the upset, but hey man, crazier shit has happened in Stark Vegas. So maybe you're right.
Patty C, your thoughts on Missouri at Mississippi State?
I mean, I would say, you certainly highlighted them looking ahead. Maybe the back-to-back road angle of going South Carolina and then Mississippi State adds up, and that's what gets.
If this was in Missouri, I wouldn't even play this game. But it's just because Stark Vegas will be fucking insane for this.
I mean, those are two kind of hostile environments in a row. South Carolina, I don't know if you.
It is.
That, that's pretty hostile environment. Williams-Brice. Yeah. So I mean, can they navigate that? I don't think Missouri is that team that can navigate that just yet. So yeah, maybe there's an upset L, and the folks in Stark Vegas would love that.
goes back to you, buddy. NC Nick, where you going?
All right, weekday Nick, Friday night, 8 p.m. Fox, Big Ten, Purdue at Michigan State.
Don't do it.
Dude, we got a P4 game, prime time Friday night, with the only competition is Temple at UTSA. I am curious as to what Michigan State is going to be year one under Jonathan Smith. I think he's going to come in there and find at least a little bit of success right away. I think they could potentially be bowl eligible in his first year, and this is the one. If so, they need to get this one. So Purdue, Michigan State, I'll be watching.
Man, I was trying to sell myself building up these graphics on that game, and I go, man, there's no way that either team's get even if you gave us Missouri, Mississippi State, at least there'd be the potential of like derailing a playoff thing. But
that's also potential of a blowout where this will probably be close.
Still, I just feel like they could have gave us a better Big Ten matchup. But I mean, the thing you got going for you is Friday night, and we love football. So, but Patty, see your thoughts on Purdue, Michigan State.
Well, obviously Purdue only a year removed from a Big Ten championship game berth. Michigan State about 10 years removed. So who is in a better spot right now? Both teams 4-8 last year. As a program, I guess you probably have to say Purdue, but
no, I like Michigan State.
You think Michigan State's in a better spot?
Yeah.
Who's a better coach, Ryan Walters or Jonathan Smith?
Not even debatable.
You were very high on Ryan Walters,
but he's never been a head coach. Jonathan Smith.
That's true, right? I agree with you.
Jonathan Smith was on the Boise and Washington teams that went undefeated.
Okay, yeah, then
or Washington went to the playoffs is my point, but Boise went undefeated.
I would agree with you that Jonathan Smith is by far the more proven coach, and on that alone, based on the fact that they had the same record last year.
And I love Ryan Walters. He's a former Buff.
Yeah,
but
Michigan State probably in a better spot. The game at home, maybe there's a game that puts Michigan State in bowl contention. Yeah, on a Friday night.
Yeah,
I think we'll all be watching.
Well, what's the third Friday night game? I thought there was another one.
Oh yeah, well there is actually. It was a late edition. It's UNLV San Jose State.
Yeah, I think that's the best one on that Friday. But
no, it's
oh yeah, wow, that's a good one. I guess we can get to that.
That should have been the. I mean, you're playing the game next. Do you want to take it?
On a Friday night? Is there something better out there? Let me take a peek.
It had more implications than Purdue Michigan State last year.
Well, let's play it just because
Or did it though? Because they definitely ruled against the result.
Yeah, well, they did. Wait, San Jose State beat UNLV
by
straight
like 30.
up?
It was like 30, 35.
And they
14.
had the record.
Yeah.
I wonder what is the tiebreaker that they used?
No, they used some shit about your non-con strength or records in the non-con or something like that. It was something I forget exactly. I think it was something like that where it's like, okay, because UNLV got who did they play? They played someone in the non-con. Michigan. They played Michigan in the non-con.
So
and I think that helped them.
And was there a three-way tie that had to be broken?
Them, Boise, but it should have been San Jose State, Boise, because San Jose State just a week before the final game of the season beat the shit out of UNLV at their house.
Right.
Well, I would say that would be a prime candidate for a revenge game, but we have a brand new head coach in San Jose State's returning production is 131st in the nation. So,
but doing their preview, doing their preview, I liked how they retained the defensive coordinator who's been there 8 years.
Okay.
And it made I feel a little bit better about them because Brent Brennan's connection to obviously he's related to Colt Brennan. He was at Hawaii for a long time. Well, Niumatalolo is a former Hawaii quarterback, played under Paul Johnson. So he'd stayed close to the Hawaii football program. So it was almost I got the gist from doing a deep dive on them that Brent Brennan actually recommended them to hire. Brent Brennan also played at UCLA where Niumatalolo was coaching last year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad hire. I'm not saying that San Jose State's not going to be decent, but I'm just saying that the revenge angle isn't quite
at least
there
as far
anymore.
as the coach is concerned, isn't there. But I'm sure a lot of the players still want revenge for that.
Well, I just said that their returning production is 131st in the country, so a lot of the players are gone too.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
the ones who are on the bench were mad about it.
but I'll tell you this, man. I do think by the time it's the same. Who did we just use? We just used an example of someone else in another game. Levy. I think by the time you get to November, those coaches kind of kick it up a gear. And I think San Jose State's a live dog in that spot because I don't think UNLV's that good.
If they're a dog.
Yeah.
Not only that, Niumatalolo is, from what I've seen, a more fiery coach than Brent Brennan. So even if he wasn't there last year, he may have them more frothing at the mouth for revenge than Brent Brennan would.
Any angle. Use any angle, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that play. You played that, or are we just talking about that game?
I think I played it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there we go. Play that. All right, that takes me to. Let's stay in the Mountain West. Me and the bet detective CJ Sullivan were previewing Colorado State. Go listen to that preview. Patty C, me and you did Fresno State. Colorado State's got a very favorable conference schedule. Norvell's got a history of turning it on year 3. I'm sorry. I do think this game could actually have meaning. Like, if I had to project the Mountain West Championship, it would be Boise State against Fresno State. I think it would be in Fresno because I trust Fresno's returning production a little more than Boise's, right?
And
their coach. Yeah. But Colorado State, I know I said Wyoming is the 3rd best team to me on paper. Colorado State's schedule is nice, where I do think if they can win here in the Valley, they could potentially steal that and end up in the Mountain West Championship. So I think Colorado State at Fresno State could be an underrated game. Regardless, I think both are bowl teams this year. Patty C, your thoughts?
Looking at their schedule, I would say you're absolutely correct. The Oregon State game doesn't count as a Mountain West.
Does not count, yes.
So at this point in the season, they're Big 12 games.
Mountain West games.
Mountain West. How many Mountain West games do they play?
Seven.
It's weird. Okay, so San Jose State, they get them at home. New Mexico, they get them at home. At Nevada should still be a win. Wyoming, fortunately, they get it home. At Air Force is the only real test up until this point. So if they come in with one loss, this could be for.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this could be. It's a good path for them this year to get to the Mountain West Championship. And remember, you can host that. That would be huge for them to host that.
That would be massive. I think them both running the air raid is something that helps Colorado State out a little bit. Although again, Tedford probably the better coach. So
yeah, and his is not full on air raid. He's a little more
just pass that.
Yeah. It's like pro style still. NC Nick, your thoughts on Colorado State, Fresno State?
I love the game. I think it's going to be a fantastic game, and these are two of the top half of the conference, so it could be very meaningful also. I don't love the kick time, which is 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. But I have no problems with the game here. I think it's a fun one.
Where are you taking us, Nick?
All right, I guess this is an old Big East matchup, I think. Pitt at Louisville.
This ruined Louisville's perfect season last year in the rain. I called this one.
That's right.
I
think we all saw them coming up at Pitt like late in the year. We're like, I don't know about this one.
I just feel like this game's always, and I think Louisville, I was just doing a deep dive on Louisville the other day, and I'm like, man, they could make the ACC championship again. I kind of like their schedule again, but I still worry about this game. This could be the one that derails them. And Pitt's just the type of team because they're super physical, which I like. Brahms teams are more like speed finesse teams,
right? And
I just feel like Pitt is always that team. And Pitt's another one. Does anyone have any idea who the fuck they are?
No.
Like
no,
Pitt
we don't.
Is what 2 years removed from an ACC championship, right?
I think most people are expecting them to be kind of like last year, not very good, but that's kind of right where Narduzzi wants you, Yeah. So will they surprise me? A jump up, have an 8-4 type season? No.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and what Patty C was referring to earlier was we were driving today, and I was saying that I was getting prepared to do my SGP ACC preview, and I'm going through all these things, and I'm like, I really think the ACC more so than the Big Ten. I don't think it's going to be Florida State and Clemson in the ACC championship because Florida State and Clemson, specifically Clemson, has a way harder schedule. than a lot of other teams at the top of the ACC. And even Florida State. Florida State plays Clemson and Miami. Now I know they could win both those and be fine and be in the ACC championship, but I still feel like with one loss and with other teams not playing them, we got to see what this tiebreaker is. But I do put kind of, when you pull up like Pitt's schedule, when you pull up, we talked about NC State earlier. We talked about Virginia Tech's schedule. I think Louisville, Pitt, and North Carolina you can add to that mix, the Tar Heels, as like having and Syracuse and having favorable schedules. When you look, you're just like, man, Pitt hosts Clemson in Pittsburgh in November, right? I don't see that many losses in conference. When I pull up Pitt's schedule, okay, they're at North Carolina to start conference play on October 5th. I mean, that's anyone's game, right? Do you feel confident? Who do you Carolina by 3? If you had to set a line,
it's in Pittsburgh.
No, it's in Keene,
which isn't that much of a home field advantage.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes me want to favor UNC by more than 3.
Really?
Yeah,
not a whole lot.
I think Pitt's physicality fucks with them too. Like,
although I feel like Pitt's physicality is emphasized in Pittsburgh and in cold weather and in elements, which
you'd be surprised if Pitt won at North Carolina. Though I think
I wouldn't be surprised,
game, right?
but I would favor North Carolina by like 8 and a half.
More than a touchdown.
I'd favor Carolina by 3.
Well, based on last year, wasn't
they lost Carolina to UVA at home?
That's true, but they fucking
Patty, Drake May was a top 10 pick, so
Drake May, you know who is a fucking supposed to be the number 1 pick in the draft before him? Sam Howell. That when you run
this time
a
they got
finesse
Max Johnson.
Yeah, well, maybe he starts looking good down in North Carolina when you play finesse.
All I'm saying is this. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Pitt at North Carolina. I agree it's a 50-50 game. They'll be slight dogs, right? Week 2 in the ACC, they're hosting Cal. That could be a win. Should be a win, right? Could be a win. They get a bye week, then they're hosting Syracuse. Could be a win. At SMU, I do think SMU does not have bodies that bang like Pitt. I think Pitt could be just the type of team to fuck up SMU, right?
Yeah.
Then they're home to Virginia. Then they're home to Clemson. Well, obviously Clemson's a tough opponent, but Clemson's never won it at Heinz Stadium or whatever. I know they've only 0-1, but I'm just saying, like, I think that's November 16th, going up to cold ass Pittsburgh. I think Pitt could steal that game. Sure. Then they're at Louisville and at Boston College. You could even lose the Louisville game and still end up in the ACC championship, especially if you have a tiebreaker against Clemson. Like, it's a nice schedule for them to have a really good year. I know they got rated in the portal, but Narduzzi does that every year.
Pitt at all. I think he snaps his finger, gets 1 or 2 things adjusted, and they're back in their winning ways.
That's what makes the ACC so entertaining this year, is that you have like 6 teams that I think have easier. Like, I think Miami, Florida State, and Clemson have a harder conference schedule than like 6 teams that are contending in that vein.
Again, you wonder if that's by design or just random, because the 3 teams that you mentioned are also 3 of the teams, the louder teams about leaving.
Yeah.
Oops, you guys have the hardest schedule this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, love that game being played, and yeah. Wait, who's next? Is this me? Is Pat?
I just went.
Yeah, Patty C.
All right. Well, you mentioned earlier that you believe the Bobcats of Ohio are completely depleted, and
you look at them in the portal. I don't think there's a team in the country that's been affected by the portal more.
Potentially, that being the case, that this game may end up being a clunker. But what you do have is a 10-3 team versus an 11-3.
It's a rivalry game too. I dig it.
I mean, Ohio didn't go to the MAC championship last. Miami, Ohio.
2 years ago.
2 years ago they were there. Toledo is a mainstay, a staple of the MAC championship. So, looking back at the history of, it's been 2012 Northern Illinois was the BCS team that got represented in the BCS, and then New Year's 6 Western Michigan was in 2016. So it seems like it's once every 7 or 8 years that the MAC gets that berth. I don't know. Once every 8 years, is this the year? Like we said, there's going to be carnage in the Mountain West most likely.
I like this game. It's a fun game.
There's potential carnage in the Sun Belt. American, who knows what's going to happen. But look, the MAC often I feel like produces like 10-win teams, right?
Yeah.
Especially the likes of Toledo. So if Toledo has a great year, and we're talking about this on the weekday, it might be worth watching on a Tuesday. What is it? Is it a Tuesday or
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
I think
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Perfect game for a Wednesday night.
Yeah, Ohio at Toledo.
I love this game. Correctly played. Should have been in the top 30. Definitely better Notre Dame Army.
It's about time we played some action. I completely agree. And you guys are underestimating the heart of a Bobcat.
Woo.
Ohio is going to replenish quickly and make this a ball game. Not saying they're going to win. At Toledo in the glass bowl stuff, but good game.
Sorry.
Good game.
I was not trying to hit that. Right?
Hey, I'm all about moving things along.
Man, it goes over to Dundee here. Let's go to this is just the perfect game to fuck with their season. Miami's gonna lose to Wake Forest at home. This is the perfect game where Miami's they beat Florida State, they've turned the corner, and Dave Clawson walks in, a guy who can clearly outcoach Mario Cristobal, right? And they haven't played in 10 fucking years. How's that possible?
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Miami won the last one 24-21 10 years ago.
That seems almost impossible. Aren't they supposed to play?
Yeah.
Well, no more than like once every
probably
7
years. Probably the COVID
years.
year probably canceled their game. And then the year before that, Miami was in 2009, Miami won 28-27. Wake's been knocking on this fucking door. The last 3 games have been a score or less, and none of them were with Dave Clawson. This is the year. They've never seen slow mesh. They don't know. Mario Cristobal says, "What? What's going on here?"
I mean,
this is going to be the one they lose, dude.
It could be.
This is the one they lose.
What's funny is that I feel like we say this every week. It's like, it's the at Cal game. No, it's the at Louisville game. No, it's the at Georgia Tech game.
Well, given their recent
they've
history,
done it so many
probably
times.
all of them.
They could lose a handful. Yeah, they could split those games.
I mean, there's going to be no crowd at this game. They're not going to. Fans are going to come out to see Wake Forest,
or maybe it'll be at Syracuse next week.
It very well could be too.
We're gonna have the same conversation next Wednesday.
You're right.
Yeah,
you are.
Miami has earned that conversation to happen on a weekly basis.
I mean, Clawson's gonna get someone you're not expecting. I'll say that. I don't believe Wake Forest to be fucking horrible.
Well, I mean, if we take out the COVID year, which they went 4-5, Clawson prior to that 7-6, 8-5, 7-6, 8-5, 11-3, 8-5, and then last year's clunker at 4-8. But I feel like losing Hartman was a death blow prior to the season.
Yeah.
If he has the
they
chance,
lost by 5 at Clemson last year.
Yeah, if he can redevelop.
They lost by 3 at Duke. These are good teams last year. They lost by 4 to Syracuse somehow.
I mean, they're probably better than their 4-8 record anyway. Clawson has proven that he's a better coach than that. But for a guy that builds his entire program on player development and retaining players until they're old, to get gutted that bad by the transfer portal year in like over and over and over, it finally caught up. But maybe by playing those young guys last year, they get back on track a little bit this year.
This is a dangerous game for Miami. All right, it jumps back to UNC. Nick, where are you going?
Let's stay in the ACC. SMU at UVA. Look, I'm fascinated to see SMU and what they can do in year one, and I'm fascinated to see the future of SMU. I think they're going to struggle a little bit in a P4 conference. Their schedule last year was not very good. And this is a type of a game where, I think SMU might be favored. I think people expect them to win it. And it's not like UVA has a great home environment or they're a great team. But UVA is plucky enough. They're decent enough to be able to win this game. So I'm curious as to how SMU is going to do against ACC opponents in general, and especially on the road, like against a team like UVA.
And I mean, he made that without mentioning Calandria, which is just impressive. Yeah, I think you could play this one. It makes sense. SMU was phony last year. We saw it. ECU should have beat their bum. ass team there, but they threw a ton of money. I think they are the most interesting team in college football. Is that fair to say? Can we agree on that?
SMU
is the most interesting team in college football moving forward.
Maybe
the money, the how close you are to talent.
Yeah,
I mean,
they flipped a TCU 4-star quarterback today, which I know, they were heated, and I'm wondering if Sonny Dykes regrets, because I don't think he could have seen that SMU would go to the power conference, because you got to think SMU's got the edge up on TCU from money standpoint. Yeah.
Dallas has probably got a little recruiting edge over Fort Worth.
It's gonna
be recruiting edge. Dallas and Fort Worth. I mean, come on, that's like Raleigh Durham. It's the same area.
How many NFL teams are Fort Worth? Or how many pro sports teams are in Fort Worth? Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Stars.
What's
Dallas
the airport
Cowboys.
called?
Yeah.
Is it Dallas Fort Worth Airport?
Yeah, it is.
It's still got Dallas in the name. Look, I don't mean to hate on the people from Fort Worth. You're probably a better city, but you have less cachet than Dallas. That's for sure. Let me say this. I know that's a stretch. Virginia.
Patty, see, it sounds like you're all hat and no cattle. That's an old saying.
What were you going to say about Virginia?
No fucking idea what that means, but
that's an old Fort Worth saying. You're all a hat and no cattle.
Sticks in your craw.
I'm insulted, but I don't know what it means. Look, Virginia, low key, number 5 in terms of returning production in college football this year, and SMU number 11.
Could James Franklin be the next head coach at Virginia?
He could. Would that be a pretty significant upgrade? I'm curious. I think this is a big year for Tony Elliott. I actually think with that stat there, the 5th most returning, 81% of their production returning, they could surprise some people this year. This would be a pretty key game. This game's being played where? In Charlottesville?
Scott Stadium, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, let's go. All right, Patty C, it jumps back to you.
All right, looking around. Vanderbilt at LSU. No, I'm just kidding. What else is out there to take? You know what? Colby does this with a number of things. One of the things is hyping Charlotte and trying to hype the demise of James Madison, right? Another team that he is just really low key trying to write off entirely is a team that was recently in the college football playoff. That is the Cincinnati Bearcats. They're traveling to Manhattan, Kansas.
They're going to get
play
their ass
Kansas State. Look, there was a huge transition from year 1 to go from Luke Fickell to Scott Satterfield. And I think year 2, Scott Satterfield has proven that at Louisville, he was able to build that thing into like an 8-win team by the time he left there. If you expect similar results in the Big 12 with Cincinnati, then that means they're maybe closing the gap a little bit. Is it a tough road spot? Yes, but look, this team is still decent. They recruit in the top. I want to see in the talent composite who's higher. I'll tell you in a second.
So you're calling Cincy the USC of the Big 12, huh?
That might be a little generous.
You snuck this one in. I didn't. I don't know.
At this point, I'm not. I mean, I don't see them being all that competitive in the Little Apple, but.
If this was in Nippert, then you would say, okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. 24/7 talent composite. Cincinnati number 51, Kansas State number 68.
And that's why we never listen to that composite. You're the only one here that looks at that.
Well, let me ask you this. Talent composite last year had Alabama number 1 college football playoff. Georgia
shouldn't have been in the college football playoff.
13-1. They should have. Ohio State number 3.
Florida State should have. What are we talking about?
Well, Florida State whooped or I guess Georgia whooped the. But yes, I agree. Florida State should have been. Yeah. Ohio State. It still matters. It's a pretty good predictor of who's going to be good at the end of the season. So talent matters, buddy.
Cincinnati won how many games last year?
Look, they played Oklahoma pretty close. 14-point loss. That's probably the best thing on their
schedule. All right. There's a lot of ways I could go with this final pick.
Though. He's degrading Cincinnati. I want you to notice that.
I want Cincinnati to be good.
No, you're a hater. You have become a hater. You know why? It's because Scott Satterfield.
They paid money for Satterfield. He was about to get fired. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life.
It might not have been a great hire, but it doesn't mean Satterfield's an awful coach. And you want him to be an awful coach.
I have nothing against Satterfield.
Yeah, you do.
What do I have against Satterfield? Final pick. Look, I thought about taking the Hilltoppers coming into the Flamin' Libs. Maybe they could knock them off, but it's at Liberty, so I can't go there. I thought about taking UConn at Syracuse in a classic Nor'easterner. All right. But I can't go there. Wouldn't it be great if UConn ruined Syracuse's playoff chances? There's one guy, and Patty C is refusing to buy in. He's refusing to buy in. But I'm here to tell you that Biff Poggi's for real. All right. And Charlotte is going into Boca Raton.
Ooh, the old folks home.
Wait,
right?
how does this game make the top 30?
Because Charlotte is a bowl team this year. And when they beat JMU by double digits week 1, you're going to sit there and say, Dundee, I should have listened to you. All right.
I've never had something crowbarred in so frequently as Charlotte into the top 30.
Biff Poggi's building it the right way. All right. And look, I think they're a sleeper. I think they're going to make a bowl this year. I think Patty C is going to have a lot of regret, and he's going to have nightmares. He's going to wake up to. He's going to be in drunken stupors, but Biff Poggi's going to be entering his fucking dreams. All right. And he's just going to have to sit there and deal with it.
Biff Poggi's going to be my favorite coach on the field in 11 out of 12 games this year. You're not going to get me to hate Biff Poggi. Even if he beats JMU, I love the guy. But he's not beating them, and they're going to suck again. Let's be honest.
No, they're not. He's building it the right way. NC Nick, Charlotte at Florida Atlantic. Why are you super excited?
Colby's trying to like artificially, inject these AAC games into our top 30. Maybe to
I didn't even play ECU. What are you talking about?
Maybe to falsely bolster ECU. I think he's learned some lessons from like the SEC or from like the ESPN or something.
Right?
You don't think this game is fire?
No, I don't. I think it's a decent game, actually. I mean, I do think FAU is legit this year, and Charlotte's an interesting team. I'll give you that much, okay?
Well, they're going to be a little more than interesting after week 1, buddy. All right? You're going to be canceling your App State JMU thing being, wow, I didn't know JMU was looking like this.
Most of the country still won't be interested in Charlotte if they beat JMU. Look, you left Baylor at Houston out on the board there.
And that's because Biff Poggi is not at Baylor, but Baylor might be interested after this year. They might be interested. All right, that concludes our 30 picks. Now we just do our Lou Holtz what the fuck game of the week. And then our FCS game of the week. But Lou Holtz, what the fuck game of the week? NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where are you taking us?
But they're counting down 7-6-5.
There's a handful of obvious ones. I think the worst one, I guess, because it's not even an in-state matchup. Give me Charleston Southern at Florida State. I mean, this is like SEC playbook. Give me
Clemson,
the bye.
Can we talk about Clemson and Florida State? Just like they want to be in the SEC so
bad.
Look,
we're doing it. Yeah.
The Citadel. We're taking on the Citadel, right? And we're taking on Charleston Southern.
At least the Citadel is like in-state.
Yeah, so it goes back away.
A little bit better, but not much. But a little bit better. But yeah, awful.
Yeah, there is an excuse at the very least. Charleston Southern versus Florida State on what is this, November 20th?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
23rd.
23rd. Yeah, pretty bad.
Patty C, what is your Lou Holtz terrible game of the week?
Well, you just mentioned the other one. So I guess I'm gonna ride with that. Let's.
Well, no, there's a couple other ones out there, dude. There's a couple underrated ones. There's like the SEC. And the wannabe SEC teams this week. So let's just rattle this off real quick.
What are our options? And I'll
the Citadel at Clemson.
That's my favorite right now.
Charleston Southern, Florida State. NC Nick just played.
Yeah.
Wofford at South Carolina.
Bad.
Vanderbilt at LSU. Bad.
That's a conference game though.
Well, that still deserves to be mentioned in the what the fuck game of the week. UMass at Georgia.
Oh, that's
somebody
better play that.
Yeah. What about UTEP at Tennessee?
Yeah.
They're coming strong. No. SEC bullshit coming in strong.
It means more.
It's clearly UMass is Georgia. That is incredible. 3-9 UMass at 13-1 should be 3-time defending national champion Georgia. Pretty fucking bad. You know what? Also was on the radar. It's a conference game, but Akron versus Kent State.
It was on mine. Vanderbilt LSU was on mine too.
Hold on, go back to the Georgia one too, though, because look, Georgia also plays Tennessee Tech, so they're really cheating. They're basically playing two FCS level teams because UMass, they're an FCS team.
Yeah, and probably a bad one at that, man. Like honestly, like if you look at UMass over the past, couple seasons, and this is why we get mad. You know what I mean? They play an 8-game conference schedule, and then they load up with shit like this. Like UMass, what'd they do last year against Merrimack? They won by 10. Merrimack's in the NEC. All right, the fucking NEC, right? That's not a power conference in the FCS, right? The season before that, they played, who was it? They played Stony Brook. They won 20-3. Now, okay, you want to play 17 against Stony Brook. It's still a bad showcasing.
It
right?
doesn't piss me off at the teams as much that they're trying to lighten their already tough schedule. What it pisses me off is at the SEC as a conference, because the SEC always says, well, we have all these hard games. But they're all against yourself, know? And then all the games that you play against non-conference teams are pathetic, and so
they don't get
whoever wins the games that
they
play
don't get docked
yourself,
for that. And that's what look. UMass in 2021 lost to Rhode Island, an FCS team, by double digits, and Maine by 25. So they're 2-2 in their last 4 FCS games.
Wasn't Maine like 3-9 last year?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's similar. It's similar to the Big 12 in college basketball, where their out of conference schedule is awful for the most part. I mean, like Kansas challenges themselves, but other schools don't. And then they lose. They beat each other up in conference play, and then they don't do well in the NCAA tournament. It's like, well, how good are you then? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a way different tangent, but sorry.
No, it's similar.
No, but it's just annoying that, especially in like we're playing all these playoff potential matchups like we've drafted. And then it's like, you look at this, UMass at Georgia? Why? Because Georgia Tech's on deck? Are you scared of fucking Georgia Tech? You have to put UMass on here and this late in the year?
Right.
And I'll play UTEP Tennessee because that game's fucking stupid too.
Yep.
All right? It's all terrible. Yeah.
All right. FCS.
All right. FCS game of the week. NC Nick. You can't play Brawl of the Wild. It's already been drafted. Where are you going?
Oh, shit. I'm not ready for this. I give my pick to number 2. Let me go next.
You want me to throw a few of the options out for you?
Well, you have Yale Harvard, which is
that's going to be my pick.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there is the Thursday night game that Colby mentioned.
And those are decent teams, by the way, on Thursday night.
If you want me to quickly look at a game, I got you right here. I've been on the field myself. A battle. I mean, these guys are like an hour away. William and Mary at Richmond, Battle of the Commonwealth.
Wait, there's
Richmond
a name
versus
for this.
Fredericksburg.
Capital Classic, is it?
I don't know that, but I like the game.
Yeah, William and Mary Richmond. There's a name for this football rivalry. Yeah, this is a good game, and this is the Capital Cup, and this is one that they've been playing this since 1898, and
beautiful.
This is the controversy: is Richmond's leaving the CAA after this season for the Patriot League, and William and Mary has not announced that they're leaving. So this historic rivalry that they've played so many fucking times. This is the 135th game this year.
Wow, maybe the last one in a while.
Might be,
man,
they might be throwing that thing away. So
hell of a play. Pat myself on the back.
That was a good one. You pulled that out of your ass, Patty C. Where are you taking us? FCS game of the week.
Well, you already mentioned it. Harvard Yale kind of needs no introduction. Harvard Stadium, a classic venue. Then again, what is it? The Yale Bowl, also a classic venue.
Both fantastic.
Yeah, the horseshoe and the bowl.
This goes back. I mean, it doesn't get older for college football, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, college football.
This goes back to the Civil
out
War.
Of the Ivy League. Yeah,
goes back to the Civil War. Ulysses S. Grant had Harvard -3 in 68,
and you know he was a gambling man.
Yeah,
hard drinker too.
Yeah, you gotta watch these, and those stadiums are fucking awesome. Both stadiums playing some of the coolest stadiums.
Harvard's in particular looks like the damn Roman Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yale's is just beautiful bowl there. They got.
Both are fantastic. Yeah. Both are absolutely fantastic. Well played, and that rivalry is fantastic. For me, I will jump down to
who's the bigger douchebag school? Let's get this
Harvard
on record.
or Yale. Who's the bigger douchebag school? That is tough. I'm gonna go Harvard. I don't know actually. I'm gonna go Yale because at least Harvard's in Boston. I feel like where it's like Yale.
Where's Yale?
Connecticut.
Like, Connecticut.
It's just I don't know. Am I full of shit, Nick?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've never been to either campus. I mean, I kind of lump them together. But I mean, I think your logic sounds good. I think I'd rather go to Boston than Connecticut. So sure.
Let me say this: while Yale seems like the more like snootier school a little bit, I think Harvard is the douchier school in terms of really thinking their shit doesn't stink.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
it's
can
basically
say
George
whatever they
W.
want.
versus Obama, right?
Is it Obama go to?
Let's not bring that up.
George W. definitely went to Yale.
They should hype that. They should hype that. President's Bowl. Anyway.
Look, my play will be unfortunate. Mine's much in the vein of NC Knicks. The Battle of the Blue. This is an old school rivalry that goes back to 1895. Delaware and Villanova. Delaware announced they were leaving the FCS for the FBS. This is their final time we're going to see this game. And they also, I listened to a Villanova podcast where Delaware is probably not going to try to put this game. They want a more easy, winnable FCS game in the future.
Hold on. There's a Villanova football podcast.
Yep.
Love it.
And yeah, they do. They got a history there, man. Brian Westbrook to Howie Long. All right. But they've been playing this shit since 1895. We're just gonna throw it by the wayside, man. Come on, Blue Hens. Put them on the schedule.
Oh yeah. CAA Classic here.
Yeah, Battle of the Blue. Final one that we know of.
I would have thought Villanova would have been, in the one of the.
They should join the ACC, shouldn't they?
They should. I would think they would have been in the FBS before Delaware. I would think that, just based on recent history. Delaware was great early in the 2000s, but Villanova.
Delaware was great in the 80s too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But since then, I think Villanova's been the better program for a little while, and yet not making that jump. Temple's doing nothing in Philadelphia. You can come up and you can take over Philadelphia immediately if you're Villanova. They're shit in the bed.
They are shit in the bed, folks. And you're shit in the bed if you're not subscribed to us. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button. I see 347 people watching now. All right, YouTube.com/The College Experience. Don't shit the bed the night before you get your freedom fries. All right, let's enjoy America tomorrow. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Knicks on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Subscribe wherever podcasts are at. We're available. And then check out the Stadium Heads podcast where we talk college football stadiums, the history and why college football is the greatest thing to hit planet Earth. Also check out the College Basketball Experience. Villanova fans specifically, get on over there. I mean, come on, they can turn this thing around. Kyle Neptune, what's going on? Check out the College Basketball Experience, and check out the College Baseball Experience as well. And also check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Want to say, have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Stay safe, and we're very grateful that you listen to us. And yeah, this is America. All right.
Nobody lose any fingers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Look,
tuck them in.
I know that.
Don't pull a JPP.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're free, but you're not that free. You know what I mean? Like when I went down to Columbia, I got to shoot an AK-47 up into the air at a barbecue. First person to do that since Kenny Powers. But yeah, enjoy. Have a great time. All right, this is gonna be fantastic, and appreciate this goddamn country. All right, Patty C.
Oh yeah. America, fuck yeah.
$100 bajillion dollars. All right, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.